Chapter 396 Powerful Aid. Chapter 396 Powerful Aid. Inside Blue Mountain Restaurant, a high-class restaurant located in White River City's Nobles District. As White River City's upper-class area, the cost of living here was very high. It was a place that ordinary players rarely visited. At this moment, however, there were actually 3 players, 2 women and 1 man, sitting under one of the outdoor gazebos of Blue Mountain Restaurant. Of the 2 female players, one was a bright and seductive witch, while the other was an otherworldly fairy. Meanwhile, the man exuding a cold, murderous intent by their side also possessed a valiant look. With his combination of a handsome face and frosty personality, many young ladies would definitely fall prey to him. "Snow, you can tell me who it is now, right? Just who is that mysterious person you called for?" Zhao Yueru whispered as she shifted closer to Gentle Snow's side, the expression on her face saying, "I won't tell anyone else. Don't worry. You yourself have met that person before. In any case, he'll be here in just a moment." Gentle Snow smiled faintly. "I know them?" Gao Yueru immediately started searching her memories, trying to recall all the experts she had met. However, taking into consideration the severity of the matter this time, she dismissed the large majority of them. In the end, she still shook her head and gave up. She truly could not figure out just which amazing character her friend had invited. If Zhao Yueru had to point out an amazing character she had personally met before, then that would be Star Moon Kingdom's #1 expert, one-hit Azure Black Flame. However, as the guild leader of Zero Wing, Black Flame was obviously not suitable this time. If they really were to invite him, those people might even disagree to hold the match and make up even more excuses. There were countless players in God's domain. Meanwhile, Black Flame managed to obtain the rank of 481 on the God's domain experts list, as well as being given the title of Azura by the Secret Pavilion. Let alone a single Star Moon Kingdom, there were only a few players throughout the entire God's domain stronger than Black Flame. Looking at Zhao Yueru's defeated expression, Gentle Snow could not help but curl her lips up even higher. If not even Zhao Yueru, someone who was extremely familiar with her, could guess the identity of the person she invited, then it was even more impossible for those people. Most likely, even if she were to reveal that person's name, those people would not know anything about that person, either. Listening in on Gentle Snow and Zhao Yueru's conversation, the aloof-looking man's curiosity reluctantly grew as well. The operation this time needed to be kept a secret. It was something that should not be told to outsiders. At the same time, this operation was of utmost importance to Gentle Snow. Yet, Gentle Snow had done the unthinkable. She had actually requested the help of an outsider instead of choosing an expert subordinated to her. This decision had inspired both confusion and curiosity in him with regard to the expert who would arrive in a moment. "Fierce, why didn't Nimble Snake come with you?" Gentle Snow asked, shifting her gaze to the impassive youth beside her. The reason why Ouroboros was able to become a dominant force in the virtual gaming world was mainly due to a few reasons. Other than its founding members, guild leader, branch leaders, and elders, it also had the 32 advocators and the 12 apostles. The last 2 groups of players were carefully chosen from the large number of experts within the god-slaying army, and they could be said to be the strongest combat power of Ouroboros. This was especially true for the 12 apostles. Each and every one of them possessed strength that not even Gentle Snow herself could casually dismiss. Meanwhile, the cold youth before her was one of the 12 apostles, Fierce Snake. The Nimble Snake she mentioned was also one of the 12 apostles. However, Nimble's strength was still a cut above Fierce. Among the 12 apostles, Nimble was also ranked close to the top, and he was one of the key figures for the operation this time around. Nimble said he had something to take care of, so he might come a little later. However, he is always punctual, so you can rest assured, Big Sis Snow. Not to mention, the operation this time is of such importance, Fierce Snake assured. Gentle Snow nodded in reply. Gentle Snow had nurtured quite a few confidants in Ouroboros. Apart from the apostles, she had also nurtured a few among the advocators. However, the operation to be carried out later required someone with top-notch combat power. Although the advocators were also very strong, they were still not comparable to the apostles. She could not afford to be careless in the operation this time. If she failed, the results would be irreversible, hence why she had called for Fierce Snake and Nimble Snake. In addition, out of worry that her plan might fail due to unforeseen circumstances, she had even invited Yi Feng. After Gentle Snow's group of 3 chatted for a while, a man wearing a black cloak came walking over. Zhao Yueru, who had originally been idle and bored, immediately widened her eyes in shock upon seeing who was approaching. Unable to help herself, she said, "Snow, don't tell me he's the person you invited?" "Of course. Who else do you think I would invite?" Gentle Snow chuckled lightly as she stood up to welcome that ordinary-looking man. Meanwhile, the identity of this ordinary-looking man was none other than Shifeng. Zhao Yueru possessed a certain understanding of Yi Feng's strength. Although she felt a little hatred for the man, she could not help but admit that Yi Feng was indeed very strong. If it were any other person, they would definitely be fooled by that ordinary appearance and aura of his. In fact, she, too, had suffered under a similar misconception. However, as someone who had personally witnessed Yi Feng's strength, Zhao Yueru knew that he was definitely not the slightest bit inferior to them. From the dungeon raid, the previous few battles, as well as the fact that he was the first player to enter White River City, all of these clearly proved how strong Yi Feng was. However, because of Black Flame's sudden celebrity, Yi Feng's existence had slowly disappeared from everyone's minds. Even Zhao Yueru herself had nearly forgotten that there was still this hateful person. "Miss Snow, may I know why you have called me here this time?" Shifeng was somewhat curious about the reason for Gentle Snow's latest invitation. Previously, Gentle Snow had always been tight-lipped on the matter, so Shifeng had not asked about it. Now that the operation was set to begin, he needed to at least understand what they were to do. "Of course, if Miss Snow feels it inconvenient to speak, you need only tell me what you can. Since you're already here, there is naturally no need to keep this matter a secret any longer. It is a competition. 5 people, 5 matches, the first to win 3 wins the competition. I have invited you here to defeat 1 person on the opposition team. The remuneration is 20 million credits. Gentle Snow said truthfully. 20 million. Shifeng was greatly shocked upon hearing this amount. Previously, Gentle Snow had already paid 5 million upfront just to have him show up. With this additional 20 million, the total would come to 25 million credits. Wasn't it just a competition? Was there a need to be so extravagant? There were countless people in the world who could not earn 1,000,000 credits even after working for their entire lives. Yet, with just a few words, Gentle Snow had casually spent tens of millions. Comparisons were indeed odious. Originally, Shifeng had thought he could be considered a relatively wealthy person. Now, in comparison to Gentle Snow, he was practically a pauper. Of course, 20 million is just the basics. Depending on the opponent's strength, I can further increase the remuneration. Gentle Snow nodded. Okay, I accept this condition. Shifeng was naturally very satisfied with this deal. Currently, Zero Wing had just started its development, and Shifeng needed money for all aspects. Yet he also could not constantly convert his coins into credits. Hence, this 20 million could definitely be considered a timely injection of funds. Upon Shifeng's agreement, Gentle Snow sighed in relief. With a great expert like him around, things should proceed much more smoothly later on. However, before she even had the time to feel joyous, she suddenly received a message. When she read this message, her expression immediately turned grim. At this moment, everyone beside Gentle Snow could feel a bone-chilling aura emanating from her. Chapter 397 A Different Outcome. Chapter 397 A Different Outcome. Snow, what happened? Zhao Yueru asked. She knew Gentle Snow well enough to notice the change immediately. Seeing Gentle Snow's icy expression, Zhao Yueru knew that her friend was furious. Gentle Snow had always been a very calm person. She was not easily angered. Now, however, a single message had enraged her. Something big must have happened. Even Shifeng, who was not particularly familiar with Gentle Snow, could tell that the woman was furious. However, as an outsider, it was not appropriate for him to ask. After reading the message, Gentle Snow first felt anger, but soon, she seemed to deflate. Seeing this, Cherfone could tell that Gentle Snow wanted to say something but struggled with how to express her thoughts. There are many challenges throughout life, and for most, one must face them alone. In the end, Gentle Snow revealed a faint smile as she forwarded the message to Zhao Yueru. Nimble Snake! This inhuman, heartless animal! To think that we took care of him when he was at his lowest, provided him with resources, and even helped him become one of the 12 apostles of Ouroboros, yet he actually became someone else's lapdog. The next time I see him, I will break all 3 of his legs. Zhao Yueru bellowed the moment she finished reading the message. Big Sis Yueru, maybe this is a misunderstanding? Big Sis Snow taught and nurtured him personally. They're nearly blood siblings. How could he possibly betray her? Fierce Snake said, astonished when he heard Zhao Yueru's words. Nimble Snake was normally very appealing when in Gentle Snow's presence. Moreover, he had always been earnest and honest. He was also very loyal. He definitely was not someone who would betray his allies. If you don't believe me, then look at the evidence. Zhao Yueru made the message visible to everyone. This message was evidence that Nimble Snake had betrayed Gentle Snow before she even began to make plans. He had been reporting Gentle Snow's movements to those people, allowing them to take appropriate measures against her. Just an hour ago, Nimble Snake had officially become one of the opposition's 5 duelists. This was indisputable proof of Nimble Snake's treachery. Fierce Snake was speechless after reading the message, his eyes becoming bloodshot. He tried desperately to contact Nimble Snake. However, no matter how many times he tried, his calls never connected. Right now, Fierce Snake wanted to hunt down Nimble Snake and question him. However, this revelation hurt Gentle Snow the most. She had treated Nimble Snake like her own younger brother. Yet, in her hour of need, that brother slid his blade between her shoulders, stabbing her in the back. For the 5 matches, based on Gentle Snow's understanding of the opposition's strength, Nimble Snake, Yifeng, and herself had the highest chances of victory among her team. As for Zhao Yueru and Fierce Snake, they didn't even have half a chance. Now that Nimble Snake had defected to their enemy, her side had become the underdog. Snow, don't worry. Even if Nimble Snake has become a turncoat, we still have the Advocators. Zhao Yueru hurriedly consoled her friend. Their strength has risen significantly recently, and they're not completely without a chance of victory. I'll contact them and have them meet us. However, Gentle Snow simply waved off Zhao Yueru's suggestion. Since Nimble Snake had betrayed her, other than Yifeng, her opponent most likely knew all about her other options. Even if she called for the Advocators under her wing, they probably would not heed her summons at all. As the situation had already devolved to this point, she could only look for a random person to fill the empty spot on her team and leave everything else to luck. Fortunately, she had yet to reach a dead end. If Zhao Yueru or Fierce Snake won their matches, they still might come out on top. At this moment, Gentle Snow was relieved that she had not revealed the matter regarding Yifeng. Otherwise, their position might be unsalvageable. Witnessing this from the side, Cherfone suddenly thought of Gentle Snow's sudden departure from both Ouroboros and God's domain in the past. At that time, the Snow Goddess had suddenly disappeared from God's domain, creating a commotion throughout the virtual gaming world. Everyone knew of her disappearance in the past. However, nobody had known what exactly had happened to cause Gentle Snow's sudden departure. Now that Cherfone thought about it, Gentle Snow's departure might very well have had something to do with strife within Ouroboros. Meanwhile, considering the situation, something that should not have happened for another 2 years had arrived ahead of time. Just what is going on here? Originally, Cherfone had avoided obtaining the first clear of the Land of Death precisely because he was afraid of altering too much of history, making it more difficult for him to control the flow of events. However, the butterfly effect had still occurred. Moreover, history was even rapidly evolving in the worst possible way. If Gentle Snow left the virtual gaming world right now, Zero Wing would lose a reliable ally. Meanwhile, the other guilds would begin to target Zero Wing. This was not a future Shifeng wished to see. Since history's development was already out of his control, Shifeng no longer intended to suppress himself. He might as well alter history further and open a better path for himself in the future. While Zhao Yueru attempted desperately to contact people and Gentle Snow planned to look for a random substitute, Shifeng suddenly walked up to them. "Miss Snow, if you need an expert, I can recommend one," Shifeng said. Gentle Snow's eyes immediately lit up upon hearing Shifeng's words. Zhao Yueru, on the other hand, simply rolled her eyes at Shifeng, saying, "Yifeng, stop messing around. What we need right now is not an ordinary expert, but a great expert. We need someone who can face an army of 100 by themselves. However, they also cannot be too famous, and it would be the best if they were a hidden expert. Although Zero Wing's Aqua Rose and Fire Dance indeed possess the strength, they are simply too well known. The opposition definitely will not agree to such powerful reinforcements." The competition was an internal matter for Ouroboros. Hence, both parties had agreed to conduct the competition secretly. Although obtaining foreign aid was allowed, the precondition was that said reinforcements could not be well-known experts, allowing them to avoid unwanted attention. Of course, not attracting attention was simply an excuse. In reality, the opposition simply wanted to limit Gentle Snow's options, preventing her from requesting the help of anyone too powerful. Gentle Snow had very little backing in Ouroboros. If both sides faced each other using only their available forces in Ouroboros, Gentle Snow would definitely be at a disadvantage. As for inviting Aqua Rose, someone who was just as famous as Gentle Snow, or Zero Wing's #1 assassin expert, Fire Dance, her opponents would never agree to their participation. And Zero Wing's guild leader Black Flame. Unless the opposition had lost their minds and wholeheartedly wanted to lose. Shifeng rolled his eyes at Zhao Yueru. He then smiled and said, "The public is definitely not familiar with the person I am recommending. As for how strong that person currently is, I do not know. However, just recently, their strength ranked close to Aqua Rose and Fire Dance in Zero Wing's rankings." Listening to Shifeng, Zhao Yueru racked her mind trying to figure out who Shifeng referred to. However, based on Shifeng's expression, he did not seem to be lying, and this only served to frustrate her even more. Gentle Snow's curiosity had also grown as she understood Zero Wing quite well. She had never expected that Zero Wing still hid such a powerful expert. The more she learned, the more she questioned her insight of Zero Wing. "I'll have to trouble you, then. As for remuneration, I will similarly pay them 20 million. Will that be all right?" Gentle Snow said as she gazed at Shifeng gratefully. "Since Miss Snow has no problems with it, I'll contact that person immediately." Shifeng nodded and called up the system menu. Chapter 398 Underground Arena. Chapter 398 Underground Arena. After Gentle Snow and the others had waited at Blue Mountain Restaurant for some time, a young girl in green robes finally appeared before them. Her hair had been pulled back into twin tails, and she radiated a holy aura. Shifeng walked up to the young girl's side, turning to look at Gentle Snow and the others as he said, "Let me introduce you. This is Violet Cloud, a healer of Zero Wing's core team." Violet Cloud grew nervous as Gentle Snow and the others stared at her. Lowering her head, she softly muttered, "Hello?" Gentle Snow's team was stunned. The great expert Shifeng talked about was actually a young girl. Moreover, she was a cleric. She was only level 22, the same as Shifeng. As a great expert, Violet Cloud's level was somewhat low. After all, they were all level 24. Although a 2-level gap was not considerably large, when experts fought, this little gap might lead to a loss. Such incidents were common in God's domain. Moreover, it was common knowledge that, although clerics had a certain amount of combat power, compared to other classes, they were, by far, inferior. Violet Cloud might possess excellent combat techniques, but that would only work against ordinary players. If she fought an equally skilled expert with a pure combat class, Violet Cloud had no chance of obtaining victory. Zhao Yueru immediately shot a hateful glare at Shifeng. Originally, she had thought Shifeng's behavior had changed for the better. However, she now discovered that she had been greatly mistaken. Shifeng simply did not have a bottom line. Even during such a crucial time, he still had the audacity to make fools out of them. Did he really think they were going up against a bunch of noobs? However, just as Zhao Yuero was about to give Shifeng a piece of her mind, Gentle Snow stopped her. "Since everyone's here, I'll lead the way then," Gentle Snow said. She then went out to the street and hailed a carriage. In reality, Gentle Snow also thought of replacing Violet Cloud. However, since Shifeng had guaranteed results, and she had already arrived, rejecting Violet Cloud would only disrespect Shifeng. In any case, the result would be the same even if she replaced the cleric with a random player. Since it wouldn't really matter who took Violet Cloud's place, she might as well humor Shifeng a little. Shaking his head, Shifeng could not help but laugh as he watched Gentle Snow's figure board the carriage. He then said, "Violet, I look forward to your performance today." "Yes, sir. I definitely won't disappoint you." Violet Cloud nodded with determination. Following which, the two boarded the carriage as well. Shifeng was very familiar with Violet Cloud's combat techniques. She was a first-class cleric in Zero Wing. Only, due to the limitations of her initial class, she could not display her strength fully. Now that she had successfully become an Astromancer, however, things had changed. Moreover, until now, Gentle Snow and the others had failed to notice one thing. He and Violet Cloud were no longer Tier 0 players. They were now Tier 1 players. Of course, a player's tier would not reveal itself to a basic identification skill. One required an advanced identification skill. It was also because of this that advanced identification skills became must-have skills later in the game. If one unknowingly provoked a high-tiered player, it would be too late for regrets. After all, the gap in tiers was much wider than the gap in levels. At this stage of the game, players rushed to level up and raid dungeons. It was even more so for the members of the various guilds. Nobody had the time for their class change quests. After all, a basic class change quest required players to invest at least 2 to 3 days. Moreover, class change quests were not easy to complete. On the off chance that they failed, they would have wasted a lot of their time. Hence, everyone chose to level up first and upgrade their equipment so that they would have a much easier time with their class change quests in the future. Even a great expert like Gentle Snow was of the same mind. There was also another reason why nobody was in a hurry to challenge their class change quest. Everyone still lacked a clear understanding of Tier 1 classes. They did not know just how much of an improvement a Tier 1 class could provide. Hence, none of the guilds in God's domain were in a hurry to push their members to complete their class changes. They all focused on claiming the first clear of dungeons, setting aside their class changes for now. 2 hours later, Gentle Snow led everyone to Star Moon City's underground arenas. The underground arena was a holy land for players who loved PvP. During the later stages of the game, it was also a place to make a lot of money. Countless players would come to watch the fights here, and many of these spectators would bet on their favorite players. Meanwhile, the winners could receive a commission from the bets. The underground arena was also separated into a few different areas. There was the basic area, advanced area, and special area. Meanwhile, the commission players could obtain and the conditions to enter each zone were different. In the basic area, any player could enter to watch or participate in the fights. The advanced area was slightly different. If players wished to watch the fights there, they needed to pay a small fee. Meanwhile, if one wished to participate in the advanced area, they needed to face a minimum of 20 opponents in the basic area and win 80% of their matches. Victors in the advanced area would receive a commission of 1%. In other words, they would receive 1% of the total bets placed on their match. If a lot of players gambled on the fight, it would serve as a hefty income. Lastly, the victor would also receive 10% of the entrance fees. The special area had an even higher entry requirement. First, the entrance fees were much higher for the special area. As for players who wished to join the fights, they needed to have a minimum of 20 matches in the basic area under their belts and have won 90% of their battles. However, there was another option for players to become participants in the special area, the systems test. The system had to determine a player was an expert before they could fight in the special area. Meanwhile, victors would receive a 3% commission in addition to 30% of the entrance fees. In the basic area, advanced area, and special area, there was one more difference between them: the size of the arenas. Each of the arenas in the basic area could only house up to 300 people, while the advanced area could house up to 1,500 people, and the special area could house up to 10,000 people. As long as a player had sufficient strength, they could make a lot of money in the underground arenas. In the past, Shifeng had earned quite a lot from this place. At this stage of the game, although the underground arenas were not particularly popular and many of the rooms were empty, one could already see signs of prosperity in this place. In a few months, this place would definitely become very lively. Basic Room 29. This should be it. Gentle Snow looked at the number plate hanging on the door before opening it. Inside the room, over 30 players had already gathered. These players all possessed very high levels. The lowest among them was level 23, while the highest was level 25. None of these players were ordinary. Nimble Snake, you traitor! You dare to show your face here! Have you forgotten who it was that helped you to achieve the wealth and status you possess today? Zhao Yueru's temper exploded the moment she saw a simple-looking youth standing among the crowd. That simple-looking youth was none other than the person Gentle Snow had spared no effort in cultivating, Nimble Snake. He was a level 24 assassin, and currently, he was fully armed with the level 20 Crimson Blood set equipment, a secret silver set equipment meant for assassins. In response to Zhao Yueru's curses, Nimble Snake remained calm as he swept a glance at Shifeng and Violet Cloud. He then laughed coldly and said, Zhao Yueru, I admit that Gentle Snow has treated me well these past few years. However, as the saying goes, man struggles upwards, water flows downward. Too, since Brother Chao's team is stronger, what is wrong with me joining them? With your strength, you wish to contest for the position of guild leader? Don't make me laugh. Zhao Yueru, you, on the other hand, you are someone that Brother Chao has always liked. Join us, and everyone will be on the same side in the future. Of course, you can also refuse. When you all lose, Brother Chao can only follow the appointed rules, and Gentle Snow can forget about the virtual gaming world in the future. Chapter 399 Death Mode. Chapter 399 Death Mode. Although Nimble Snake's voice was soft, his tone was sharp and unquestionable. Gentle Snow frowned upon hearing Nimble Snake's words, a cold glint flashing in her eyes. Chao Chenghua actually targeted Zhao Yueru for his own team. However, when Gentle Snow considered the matter, she could not find anything strange about Chao Chenghua's actions. Zhao Yueru's potential and strength were both very high. In the past, Zhao Yueru had been uninterested in virtual reality games and had only started gaming due to her unyielding insistence. Meanwhile, despite never training seriously, Zhao Yueru's strength had reached frightening levels. Zhao Yueru's talent was obvious to anyone who had seen her fight. If Zhao Yueru had bothered to put more effort into her training before this, very few in Ouroboros would have been a match for her. At this moment, a majestic-looking middle-aged man walked out from the crowd. Upon seeing this man, everyone among the crowd respectfully moved aside. This man was none other than Ouroboros' acting guild leader, Chao Chenghua. Even looking at him from afar, they could clearly feel the pressure Chao Chenghua emitted from his gaze alone. Chao Chenghua felt like a ferocious beast. Chao Chenghua was currently level 24, and he was fully armed with the level 20 Wind Roar set equipment, a secret silver set equipment meant for berserkers. On his back, he carried a great sword that was as tall as he was. The great sword was the Iron Cutter, and it was one of the few dark gold weapons in Starmoon Kingdom. Enough! Nimble Snake, you've said too much! Chao Chenghua reprimanded as he shot a glance at the assassin. Yes, guild leader. Nimble Snake self-consciously retreated behind Chao Chenghua and fell silent, gazing at his guild leader with reverence. Yueru, I hope that you will consider your options carefully. You will not have a future if you stay by Gentle Snow's side. Only by joining my team will you have a bright future in God's domain, achieving your dreams. With a charming smile, Chao Chenghua tried to persuade Zhao Yueru. Forget it. I will never join you. Zhao Yueru snapped, hatred coloring her expression as she sneered at Chao Chenghua. The battle hasn't even begun yet. The winner and loser still haven't been determined. If we lose, I will leave the virtual gaming world with Snow. Yueru. Gentle Snow's heart was moved. Humph. It seems you refuse to see things my way until you face reality. With just your 2 level 22 aids, even I feel sorry for you. Nimble Snake snorted and laughed disdainfully. Originally, Zhao Yueru had wanted to refute Nimble Snake's words, but when she saw Chao Chenghua's team members and looked at her own team, they truly were a pitiful sight. Chao Chenghua's team consisted of 4 level 24 players. Other than Chao Chenghua and Nimble Snake, there was Ouroboros' third branch leader, Blackheart Arrow, and the strongest member of the 12 Apostles, Soaring Snake. As for Chao Chenghua's last team member, he was a level 25 shield warrior who had hidden his identity behind a black cloak. Initially, Zhao Yueru still had some hope for victory. However, after seeing Chao Chenghua's team, other than Blackheart Arrow, whom she had a 40% certainty of defeating, her chances of defeating the other 4 were less than 30%. Moreover, Chao Chenghua's team also had Soaring Snake. Even Gentle Snow only possessed slightly more than a 50% chance of victory against him. Since everyone has arrived, this competition will be overseen by us elders. There are a total of 5 matches in this competition. The first to claim 3 victories will win. The victor will become Ouroboros' guild leader, while the loser will leave God's domain forever. The main God system has already accepted this condition. In addition, the arena has been set at death mode. A match will conclude only after one side has died. Before entering the arena, either side can choose to forfeit. That way, even if it is a loss, you won't have to suffer the penalty of death mode. If no one has any issues, you two can check the agreement. The main God system will bear testimony to this agreement. After agreeing, you can start drawing the lots for the battle. Gentle Snow and Chao Chenghua nodded, confirming their agreement. Neither side really cared about the arena being set to death mode. Originally, players fighting in the underground arenas would not die even when defeated. Their HPs would stop decreasing after reaching 1. However, players could also enable death mode. This mode of battle was the equivalent of PvP out in the field, and players would suffer the same penalties for death, losing 1 level and dropping 1 random piece of their equipment. They would also randomly lose some skill proficiency points. The only difference about death mode was that a player's crime value would not increase for killing their opponent. Meanwhile, Shifeng, who stood by the side, finally understood what was going on after listening to Ouroboros' elder's explanation. It turned out that Gentle Snow's mysterious departure in the past had been because of this competition. It was also obvious that Gentle Snow had lost the competition in the past. As for why she had lost, Shifeng could see that, as well. With a treacherous bastard like Nimble Snake stabbing her in the back at the most crucial of moments, how could Gentle Snow possibly walk away victorious? Seeing the predicament Gentle Snow was in, Shifeng suddenly thought of himself. Gentle Snow had only fallen to her current predicament because of her bad judgment of people. Shifeng had suffered a similar fate in the past. After campaigning for a decade in God's domain, instead of suffering defeat at the hands of his enemy, world dominators, his own people got rid of him. It was truly laughable. Just as Shifeng recalled his past, the level 25 shield warrior on Chao Chenghua's team finally removed his cloak and revealed his true appearance. Why is he here? Disbelief filled Shifeng upon seeing this shield warrior's identity. This shield warrior was Warwolf. Shifeng had met him once in the past, and the man had left a very deep impression on Shifeng. He was definitely a top-tier expert, and even Shifeng had wanted to recruit him. However, Warwolf, at that time, had hated guilds deeply, so Shifeng had no choice but to give up on his endeavor. Hence, he was greatly surprised that Werewolf had actually shown up as foreign aid for Chao Qinghua. Werewolf's appearance also shocked Gentle Snow. She had previously tried to recruit Werewolf back in White River City. However, the middle-aged man had rejected her, and after that, they both went their separate ways. As for how strong Werewolf was, even Gentle Snow herself was unsure. However, seeing that even the usually arrogant Soaring Snake and tyrannical Chao Qinghua showed him respect, it clear that something was amiss. After observing Werewolf for some time, Gentle Snow's gaze suddenly turned solemn. She could feel Werewolf's body radiating a sense of extreme danger. This was something that she had never felt before, even from Soaring Snake. Although Gentle Snow wished to oppose Werewolf's participation, until today, Werewolf had been utterly unknown in God's domain. Hence, arguing the matter wouldn't do any good. Compared to Gentle Snow's grave expression, Chao Qinghua currently appeared carefree. What is with Gentle Snow? I thought she would have invited some powerful experts, yet, she actually invited 2 level 22 players. One of them is even a cleric. What a disappointment! The elementalist, Soaring Snake, commented. Before Gentle Snow's team had arrived, he had planned to let loose, displaying his full might. Now that he was looking at them, however, it would seem that he would not get the chance today. Perhaps my departure had dealt too big of a blow to Gentle Snow, so she simply found a few people to fill the gaps. Otherwise, why would she even invite a cleric? Nimble Snake laughed, mocking the other team. Right now, the only threats are Gentle Snow, Zhao Yueru, and Fierce Snake. Unfortunately, it is impossible for Zhao Yueru and Fierce Snake to win their matches. Just as Chao Qinghua's group laughed, confident of their victory, the system promptly announced the players who would fight in the first match. Immediately, everyone's attention shifted towards the large screen above the arena. First match, Zhao Yueru vs. Chao Qinghua. Chapter 400 A Strange Blow. Chapter 400 A Strange Blow. After the system revealed the first set of opponents, Zhao Yueru and Chao Qinghua promptly entered the arena. Zhao Yueru was an elementalist, while Chao Qinghua was a berserker. In terms of levels and equipment, both were evenly matched. Though Chao Qinghua was slightly superior to Zhao Yueru regarding techniques, Zhao Yueru had the class advantage in this matchup. Hence, the victor was not apparent at first glance. Yet, Nimble Snake and the others revealed playful smiles as if victory was already in their grasp. Seeing these reactions, Gentle Snow grew slightly confused. Gentle Snow had a fair grasp on Chao Qinghua's strength and ability. Although his techniques were slightly superior to Zhao Yueru's, there was a limit to how much of an advantage that could bring him. At most, it would help him bridge the gap between classes. Hence, it would not be easy for Chao Qinghua to obtain a victory. Yet, why were Nimble Snake and the others behaving so confidently? Yueru, be careful. Chao Qinghua seems odd today. Don't let him approach you, no matter what. Gentle Snow secretly sent a whisper to Zhao Yueru. I understand. Don't worry. For the competition, I prepared and completed a high-level quest, obtaining a powerful skill. I will definitely make Chao Qinghua suffer. Zhao Yueru replied with a carefree smile. Although Zhao Yueru appeared relaxed at the moment, inwardly, she was on full alert. Although her match was only the first in this 5-round competition, it was also a crucial fight. If she won, then their chances at winning this entire competition would increase beyond 50%. Big Brother Yifeng, is that Chao Qinghua an amazing expert? Violet Cloud asked when she saw the confident Chao Qinghua. He is an expert. However, he doesn't have what it takes to defeat Zhao Yueru with a 100% certainty. After all, other than mentality, there are other factors that can contribute to the result of a battle. Shifeng shook his head. In the past, Chao Qinghua had been the guild leader of Ouroboros. Meanwhile, Ouroboros had been a guild that mainly focused its development in Starmoon Kingdom. Hence, as the guild leader of Shadow back then, Shifeng had collected plenty of information on Chao Qinghua, and he had an acute understanding of Chao Qinghua's strength. While Shifeng and Violet Cloud secretly conversed, the battle at the arena had begun. The moment the battle started, Chao Qinghua held nothing back and immediately activated Flame Charge, followed by a violent strike. Chao Qinghua was like a violent beast, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Naturally, Zhao Yueru would not give Chao Qinghua a chance to close in on her. Chanting an incantation, one of her hands waved the staff it held while the other swiftly traced lines of divine runes in the air. When Chao Qinghua was only 20 yards away from Zhao Yueru, an ice sphere appeared, blocking his path. If the ice sphere struck him, the damage would only be a secondary problem. The main problem was the movement speed reduction of the spell. After all, berserkers were not exactly known for their mobility. Hence, when elementalists fought berserkers, kiting was their basic strategy. Responding quickly, Chao Qinghua turned sharply and circled the ice sphere from the right. However, immediately after he dodged the ice sphere, multiple frost arrows flew towards him. Chao Qinghua smiled disdainfully at this sight. Swinging the dark gold-ranked iron cutter, he smashed and shattered the frost arrows coming at him before renewing his charge once more. However, as if she had expected this outcome, Zhao Yueru waved her staff once more and cast Ice Dragon Blast, sending a large serpentine dragon at Chao Qinghua. She then cast Ice Wall to seal off the berserker's surroundings. Shatter! Chao Qinghua gripped his sword with both hands and swung the weapon at the ice dragon, activating Horizontal Slash. However, the instant the ice dragon shattered, a layer of frost appeared on Chao Qinghua's body, reducing his movement speed sharply. Zhao Yueru immediately followed up with 3 ice spears. Although Chao Qinghua wanted to block the incoming attacks, the frost covering his body drastically slowed his movements. In the end, he only managed to block one of the spears, allowing the remaining to reach their mark, -215, -221. 2 damages appeared above Chao Qinghua's head. However, at level 24, Chao Qinghua possessed 3,320 HP, so these 2 attacks only managed to decrease his HP by slightly over 10%. At this moment, Chao Qinghua frowned. He had clearly shattered the ice dragon, yet, why had the freezing effect still taken hold? It seems the effect of this new skill is quite powerful after all. Zhao Yueru was very satisfied with her previous attack. Ice Dragon Blast was the advanced skill Zhao Yueru had recently learned. Opponents could defend against ordinary spells. However, Ice Dragon Blast was slightly different. Even if her opponent blocked the attack, although it would not deal any damage, it would still inflict a speed reduction effect lasting 5 seconds. When used against classes with low mobility like the Berserker, it was extremely useful. Now that Chao Qinghua's speed had fallen, Zhao Yueru would take advantage of it. First, she cast Frozen Circle, freezing the slowed Chao Qinghua. A magic array then appeared by Zhao Yueru's side, and 5 fireballs the size of washbasins circled the elementalist. Go! Zhao Yueru cast Flame Barrage and bombarded Chao Qinghua with attacks. Ice Spear was a fast attack spell. It possessed speed, but not power. Hence, the 2 previous attacks had merely been a scratch to Chao Qinghua. However, Flame Barrage was different. If all 5 fireballs struck the guild leader, he would lose over half of his HP. At this moment, Chao Qinghua was still frozen in place, unable to move. He could not dodge the bombardment of the 5 incoming great fireballs. Good! We've won! Fierce Snake shouted excitedly. Just before the 5 great fireballs struck Chao Qinghua, however, the berserker's skin suddenly flushed red, and his body seemed to grow. The layer of frost binding his legs instantly shattered. Nobody would have thought that Chao Qinghua had learned a control removal skill. In the next moment, Chao Qinghua released a thundering roar. He then brandished his great sword with both hands as he charged at the nearest great fireball. With a slash of his sword, Chao Qinghua split the spell in half. Meanwhile, the remaining 4 great fireballs merely rubbed past Chao Qinghua's body, each dealing slightly over -100 damage. After breaking through Zhao Yueru's flame barrage, the distance between Chao Qinghua and Zhao Yueru was only 8 yards. Launching himself into the air, Chao Qinghua activated Death Leap and arrived by Zhao Yueru's side. He followed up with a thunderclap before twisting his body and using cleave. In a panic, Zhao Yueru hurriedly used blink. However, she was too late. Not only had thunderclap reduced her speed, but she also took the full brunt of Chao Qinghua's cleave. Instantly, Zhao Yueru's HP of over 2,600 points fell to around 1,700 points. Fortunately, Zhao Yueru had kept Magic Shield active, absorbing a certain amount of damage. Otherwise, Chao Qinghua's cleave would have destroyed at least half of her HP. However, just after Zhao Yueru used blink to pull a distance of 15 yards between Chao Qinghua and herself, the Berserker used charge for the second time, approaching the Elementalist at high speeds. Zhao Yueru waved her staff, sending out multiple ice spears. Facing these attacks, Chao Qinghua had no choice but to defend himself with his great sword, slowing him down. Meanwhile, Zhao Yueru took this chance to widen the gap between them further, not forgetting to use control skills like Ice Wall and Ice Sphere while she made her escape. However, due to the debuff from Thunderclap, Zhao Yueru's movement speed had greatly reduced. Meanwhile, ever since Chao Qinghua's body had increased in size, he had been able to shrug off control effects. After fending off Zhao Yueru's attacks, he charged at the Elementalist and activated Trisecting Slash. 3 crescent-shaped blades of light flew at Zhao Yueru. Zhao Yueru used Frost Shield to block the attacks, taking the chance to jump away and dodge Chao Qinghua's Trisecting Slash. However, as if he had predicted what Zhao Yueru would do, Chao Qinghua charged towards her new position, swinging his great sword violently. Horizontal Slash. Zhao Yueru knew that she could not avoid this attack. Blink was still on cooldown. She needed a little more time before she could use it again. With no other choice, she could only block the attack with her staff. Although mages had low strength, they could still use their weapons to block attacks, reducing the damage received. Not to mention, she still had Magic Shield. As long as she endured a few hits, she could use blink to escape. Normally, control skills like the one Chao Qinghua had used did not possess a very long duration. Moreover, Zhao Yueru had already seen through the trajectory of Chao Qinghua's attack. She could easily angle her staff to utilize the force of the impact to pull away from Chao Qinghua. However, after Chao Qinghua's iron cutter landed on her staff, Zhao Yueru did not feel any force transmitted to her hands. Instead, the great sword appeared at Zhao Yueru's side. Chao Qinghua's attack shattered the magic shield and struck Zhao Yueru viciously. Chapter 401 Omnivision. Chapter 401 Omnivision. What happened? Gentle Snow, who watched the fight from the spectator stands, focused on Chao Qinghua, her mind replaying Chao Qinghua's last attack. No matter how she looked at it, Zhao Yueru had blocked the attack. Yet, somehow, Chao Qinghua's sword had appeared somewhere completely different. It was like a magical sword. Zhao Yueru was just as confused. She could not understand what had happened. However, she no longer had the time to think on it. Chao Qinghua's attack dealt -1,241 damage, reducing Zhao Yueru's originally low HP to 470 points. If she suffered another attack, she would die. Mages were especially weak in terms of defense, strength, and agility. If a melee class like the Berserker close in on a mage, only tragedy awaited them. Zhao Yueru instinctively used Flame Circle, a type of instantaneous activation spell. Immediately, a ring of flame expanded outwards, forcing her enemies to retreat. Chao Qinghua remained unfazed by the incoming flames as he swung his greatsword down at them. Boom! Chao Qinghua's greatsword sliced apart the ring of flame. However, he was still forced to take a step back due to the resulting impact, abruptly stopping his attack momentum. Taking this chance, Zhao Yueru retreated while pelting Chao Qinghua with frost arrows. Don't even think of escaping! Chao Qinghua roared. Enduring the attacks from the frost arrows, he sent a horizontal sweep at Zhao Yueru. Zhao Yueru used her staff to defend once more. This time, Zhao Yueru focused on the great sword, devoting her full attention to determining the weapon's trajectory. Just as Iron Cutter was about to land, Zhao Yueru quickly shifted her staff to block the attack. Chao Qinghua, however, simply revealed a mocking smile as he focused all his power into his slash. Once again, something strange occurred. Chao Chenghua's iron cutter suddenly disappeared before reappearing and striking Zhao Yueru's blind spot. Before Zhao Yueru realized what had happened, her body was on the ground, her vision darkening. Zhao Yueru, do you understand now? Only by following me will you have a bright future ahead of you, Chao Chenghua said as he looked down at Zhao Yueru's fallen body. Zhao Yueru wanted to rise and retaliate. Unfortunately, her HP had already fallen to 0. Victor in the first match, Chao Chenghua. Meanwhile, not only had Zhao Yueru lost a level after dying, but she had also dropped a piece of her equipment and lost a significant amount of skill proficiency. After resurrecting, Zhao Yueru walked up to Gentle Snow, her disappointment written all over her face. Feeling deeply ashamed, she said, "Snow, I'm sorry." Her loss had undoubtedly increased the burden on the later fights. After all, out of the next 4 matches, they needed to win 3 to win this competition. It's not your fault. Chao Chenghua hid his strength too well. Not only did he learn a control removal skill, but he also learned a new, mysterious skill. There is nothing wrong with losing to him. Gentle Snow comforted. Leave the rest to me. Zhao Yueru silently nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Although Gentle Snow had consoled her, she could not forgive herself. What frustrated her the most was the fact that she didn't even know how she had lost. Shifeng, who had observed the fight from a distance, was similarly surprised. Since when had Chao Chenghua become so strong? Thinking back to Chao Chenghua and his team's expressions, Shifeng finally understood why they had been so confident in Chao Chenghua's victory. Big brother Yifeng, do you know what sort of skill this Chao Chenghua used? Even after watching the match, I still failed to discern the attack pattern of that strike of his. Chao Chenghua's attack clearly wasn't that fast, yet his blade had suddenly vanished and reappeared somewhere else. How can anybody block such an attack? Violet Cloud was curious about Chao Chenghua's previous attacks. If Chao Chenghua possessed such a strange skill, then one could only kite him and kill him from a distance. Did you think that was a skill? Shifeng chuckled. Was it not a berserker's skill? Violet Cloud asked, surprise filling her face. Shifeng shook his head, explaining. That isn't an in-game skill. Rather, it is a martial arts technique. A martial arts technique? Violet Cloud gaped. If anyone else had said these words, she would suspect that they were boasting. However, if they came from Shifeng, they must be true. Chao Chenghua used a technique similar to rock-paper-scissors, using scissors before he took action. Zhao Yueru, upon noticing Chao Chenghua was about to use scissors, naturally chose rock. However, before the two clashed, Chao Chenghua suddenly changed to paper. So Chao Chenghua won, while Zhao Yueru could not figure out how Chao Chenghua had used paper. That's the general idea of this technique. Although it sounds easy theoretically, it is actually quite difficult to pull off. One needs to have learned Omnivision and carefully observe their opponent. However, I'm not referring the ordinary observations we make. One needs to see the whole picture, looking at everything objectively without bias to gain insight into the enemy's actions. When Chao Chenghua had attacked earlier, he had analyzed Zhao Yueru's actions, her body's movements, defensive positions, everything. Hence, when Zhao Yueru was about to defend herself, Chao Chenghua changed the trajectory of his attack, striking Zhao Yueru's blind spot. By the time Zhao Yueru reacted, she had already taken damage. Of course, when Chao Chenghua swung his great sword, he had also used a technique called second acceleration. When he swung his great sword, he had not attacked with his full power, using only around 40%. Only when he changed his attack's trajectory did he use his full power. Such a sudden acceleration leaves an afterimage, causing one to think that the great sword still followed its original trajectory. So, when you saw Chao Chenhua's sword suddenly vanish, what you actually saw was a false image produced by your mind. Zhao Yueru does not possess such combat experience, and she has no martial arts training. It is only natural that she lost. A realization struck Violet Cloud as she listened to Shifeng's explanation. After hearing Shifeng, Violet Cloud felt as if a door had opened within her, and she had discovered a whole new world beyond that threshold. So, players could use such techniques in battle. As Violet Cloud recovered from her shock, a new thought suddenly popped into her mind. Since Big Brother Yifeng can explain it in such detail, does that mean that Big Brother Yifeng knows how to do it as well? The thought excited the young cleric. As Shifeng and Violet Cloud discussed the fight among themselves, the system revealed the next pair of combatants. Shifeng then shifted his gaze to the electronic display above the arena. Second match, Gentle Snow vs. Blackheart Arrow. Gentle Snow was a berserker, while Blackheart Arrow was a ranger. Comparing classes, berserkers were the more dominant of the two classes. Although rangers had some close combat capabilities, their advantage lay in their ultra-long-range attacks. They were more suited for fighting in jungles or forests. In this arena with limited space and no obstacles to use as a cover, rangers were at a disadvantage. Furthermore, Gentle Snow's techniques were stronger than Blackheart Arrow's. Despite being in such a disadvantageous position, however, Blackheart Arrow was still very calm. There was even a hint of scorn in his eyes, his gaze void of the respect he had shown Gentle Snow in the past. When both fighters entered the arena, the countdown for the battle began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start! Blackheart Arrow immediately spun around and activated Wind Chaser, intending to increase the distance between him and his opponent. However, Gentle Snow's first attack stunned everyone present. Chapter 402 The Terrifying War Goddess. Chapter 402 The Terrifying War Goddess. What is Gentle Snow trying to do? Everyone in the spectator stands was baffled. Even Zhao Yueru, who was very familiar with Gentle Snow, was dumbfounded by her friend's actions. Gentle Snow had thrown her blue greatsword the moment the battle started. Any player who lost their main weapons was tantamount to a beast without its claws and fangs. Yet Gentle Snow took the initiative to discard her main weapon in order to attack her enemy. Berserkers were not ranged fighters. Although the greatsword she threw possessed some power, its attack pattern was very straightforward. The greatsword was not very fast, so players could easily dodge it. Meanwhile, if Gentle Snow lost her main weapon, she could not attack or defend. If she relied solely on a berserker's mobility and dodging capabilities, an expert ranger like Blackheart Arrow could defeat her effortlessly. Zhao Yueru's loss had already forced Gentle Snow to the edge of the cliff, and she could not afford carelessness in the second match. If Gentle Snow lost her match as well, their hopes of victory would be dashed. It seems that Zhao Yueru's loss was quite a blow to Gentle Snow. Why is she acting so impulsively? Many of the elders who silently supported Gentle Snow lamented at this sight. Before this battle had even begun, the victor of both this match and this competition had been determined. If even Gentle Snow lost, the other members of her team didn't have a prayer. The only person who had a chance at victory was Fierce Snake. However, Chao Qinghua still had Nimble Snake and Soaring Snake fighting for him. As for Warwolf, even Chao Qinghua treated the shield warrior respectfully. The man must be astonishingly powerful. In the arena, Blackheart Arrow discovered the blue greatsword soaring towards him. He grinned. Gentle Snow, you're seeking death. Don't blame me for being merciless. Blackheart Arrow immediately adjusted his footwork. Sidestepping, he twisted slightly. His movements were incredibly subtle, and his dodging techniques were reminiscent of a martial arts master. In the next moment, Gentle Snow's blue sky flew past Blackheart Arrow, missing his side by a few centimeters. At this moment, Blackheart Arrow revealed a savage expression. Whenever he had fought Gentle Snow in the past, the latter would always beat him into a pulp. Even today, he was not absolutely confident that he could triumph over the Snow Goddess. However, she had foolishly thrown her great sword, assuming that he couldn't dodge it. Now that she no longer had her main weapon, she could not deflect his rain of arrows. Blackheart Arrow retrieved the deep blue longbow from his back and retrieved the precious wind-breaking arrows from his bag. He then knocked the arrows, aimed at Gentle Snow, and drew his bow into a full moon. Wind-breaking arrows. There was also an additional knockback effect when the arrow hit its target. Furthermore, the bow Blackheart arrow used, Blue Wings, had an effect that increased an arrow's speed by an additional 15%. Compiling both of these effects, even an agility-focused assassin would struggle to dodge his attacks. At most, they could use their weapons to deflect the arrows. Previously, Blackheart arrow had tested the wind-breaking arrows with Nimble Snake. Within 20 yards, even with Nimble Snake's skills and extremely fast reaction speed, he could only use his daggers to defend himself against the arrows. Hence, there was no way a low agility and unarmed berserker could protect herself from them. This was one of the reasons why Blackheart arrow was confident that he would defeat Gentle Snow. Just as Blackheart arrow was about to fire 3 wind-breaking arrows at Gentle Snow, the Snow Goddess suddenly revealed a faint smile. "Watch how I'll get rid of..." Blackheart arrow suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back, and he plunged, face first, into the ground. A damage of -1,342 appeared above his head, his HP decreasing by almost half. Blackheart arrow's mind was blank as his body fell to the ground. What happened? Hadn't he been the one attacking? How had he fallen? There was even an additional heavily injured debuff on him now. His movement speed and attack speed had decreased by 20% for 6 seconds. Moreover, by the time he looked up, the blue greatsword Gentle Snow had thrown had somehow returned to her, and the berserker was charging at him. Wasn't that death throw? When did Gentle Snow learn it? Moreover, the skills level has actually reached Tier 1. Is it an innate skill of her weapon? With his wealth of experience, Shifeng had immediately discerned the skill Gentle Snow had used. Death throw was not a skill unique to berserkers. Rather, it was a special skill with a 2-staged attack. Those unaware of this skill would simply think that Gentle Snow had thrown her weapon. However, Death Throw basically made her weapon boomerang. Normally, after players dodged the first attack, they would launch a counterattack, failing to notice the second attack from behind. Moreover, Death Throw's second attack contained far more speed and destructive power than the first. At Tier 0, Death Throw would inflict a heavily injured debuff upon hitting the target. It was even more powerful at Tier 1. This 2-staged attack fooled many players, and as a result, they would lose their lives. Blackheart Arrow knew that he was in danger at the moment. However, Gentle Snow was still more than 10 yards from him. Hurriedly, he climbed up from the ground, intending to escape while firing the wind-breaking arrows at Gentle Snow, knocking her back. However, the moment Blackheart Arrow stood, he suddenly discovered Gentle Snow slashing down her blue greatsword despite the distance between them. In the next moment, over a dozen blue wind blades flew towards him. With both his movement speed and attack speed reduced, Blackheart Arrow would have a difficult time blocking or dodging. The ranger immediately released an angry bellow, intending to activate a life-saving skill, Backward Jump. However, why can't I use any of my skills? Blackheart Arrow discovered that he could not use Backward Jump. He then looked at the blue wind blades that were suddenly before him, crying out in confusion. Shwa! 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 The dozen or so wind blades shredded Blackheart Arrow's body and damages over -300 appeared above his head, one after another. In the end, his HP fell to 0. As the ranger's body transformed into particles of light, a deep blue longbow had been left behind in his place. Victor of the second match, Gentle Snow. Chao Qinghua, his teammates, as well as the elders of Ouroboros standing at the spectator stands, were dumbfounded. Gentle Snow had only used 2 moves to defeat Blackheart Arrow, Ouroboros' third branch leader. It was simply unbelievable. Is this her true strength? Chao Qinghua watched Gentle Snow's figure as she departed from the arena with a grim expression. Fortunately, Gentle Snow's opponent had been Blackheart Arrow, the weakest of the 5 on Chao Qinghua's team. If she had fought anyone else this round, Gentle Snow might have had a chance of becoming the victor of this competition and the guild leader of Ouroboros. Big brother Yifeng, Big sis Snow is so amazing! She took out an expert with just 2 moves! Violet Cloud exclaimed with awe. Indeed. Showdown nodded, smiling faintly. Black Hardero did not know that, if struck by the Tier 1 death throw, players would also suffer a silence effect, which prevented them from using any skills for a short time. This was why the skill was known as the death throw. Gentle Snow's brilliant victory had undeniably increased the morale of her team. They now only needed to win 2 of the 3 remaining matches. Moreover, Gentle Snow's intense domination had given the opposition some pause. Just as Zhao Yueru and Fierce Snake celebrated Gentle Snow's victory, the next combatants were announced. Chapter 403 Boiling Fury. Chapter 403 Boiling Fury. Chao Qinghua's team, who had fallen silent due to Gentle Snow's display, suddenly smiled upon seeing the names for the 3rd match. 3rd match: Fierce Snake vs. War Wolf. Fierce Snake was a berserker, while War Wolf was a shield warrior. Regarding combat power, berserkers held the advantage over shield warriors. However, shield warriors possessed high HP and defense, as well as plenty of life-saving skills, making them far more difficult to deal with than other classes. In general, either class had an edge over the other. Hence, the players' techniques would determine the outcome of this 3rd match. Gentle Snow looked at the shield warrior who had remained silent and calm throughout the competition. Despite doing nothing, War Wolf exuded a faint pressure that made one unconsciously distance themselves from him. No matter how Gentle Snow examined War Wolf, she could never mistake him for an ordinary expert. Even her core team's MT, Ghost Chop, had admitted that he had only started playing as shield warrior because of this man. Furthermore, Chao Qinghua and the rest of his team treated War Wolf with great respect. This showed that War Wolf's standards were top tier, and he should not be any weaker than Nimble Snake. Of the 12 apostles, Soaring Snake ranked 1st, Nimble Snake ranked 3rd, and Fierce Snake ranked 9th. If Fierce Snake fought Nimble Snake, his chances of victory only hovered between 30% and 40%. If War Wolf was stronger than Nimble Snake and was about equal to Soaring Snake, then Fierce Snake's chances of victory were only around 20% to 30%. However, War Wolf did not play a damage-dealing class. His attacks would not be very powerful. On the other hand, a berserker also wore plate armor. Unlike leather and cloth armor classes, berserkers would not die so easily. Knowing this, War Wolf was prepared to fight a battle of attrition and slowly exhaust Fierce Snake to death. After all, that was the shield warrior's specialty. Fierce Snake, your opponent is not simple. Make sure you don't cross swords with him for too long and give him any openings. Gentle Snow whispered a reminder to Fierce Snake. She then took a gold-rimmed skill book from her bag, carefully handing it to Fierce Snake, saying, "Learn this skill. If you use it at a crucial moment, you might defeat him." Fierce Snake's heart pounded the moment he read the introduction of this skill book. This skill book was an extremely rare burst skill for berserkers, Boiling Fury. For a short time, the skill increased the player's damage by 40%, strength by 15%, and attack speed by 30%. Moreover, the less HP the player had, the faster their attack speed would become. To a berserker, this skill book's value far surpassed that of 1 or 2 dark gold weapons. Big Sis Snow, Boiling Fury is too valuable. I can't learn it, Fierce Snake said, shaking his head. War Wolf will not be easy to deal with, and you know this. You don't want me to lose, right? Worried that a powerful enemy would appear, Gentle Snow had prepared for this competition. As the underground arena prohibited players from using any tools, the only way to raise a player's combat power was to learn new and powerful skills. Boiling Fury was one such skill Gentle Snow had prepared. She also had another advanced skill for Nimble Snake. Unfortunately, that skill book would not come into play during these matches. Sitting a short distance away, Showdown was slightly surprised upon seeing the skill book Gentle Snow pass to Fierce Snake. Gentle Snow had actually obtained such a super rare skill book. Boiling Fury would only drop from High Lords ranked field bosses, and its drop rate was 2%. One needed immense luck in order to obtain it. I understand. I will not lose. Fierce Snake nodded and chose to learn Boiling Fury. He then watched the thin werewolf walk into the arena, his eyes blazing with fighting spirit. Originally, he only had a 30% chance of defeating the Shield Warrior. Now that he had obtained Boiling Fury, he had a 70% certainty of coming out victorious. Following which, Fierce Snake also entered the arena. Snow, you're simply too amazing. I can't believe you had something so powerful hidden. Fierce Snake will win for sure. Zhao Yueru hugged Gentle Snow excitedly, her previous depressed mood scattering to the winds. In response, Gentle Snow lightly tapped Zhao Yueru's forehead and revealed a faint smile. Meanwhile, inside the arena, the battle between Fierce Snake and Werewolf had begun. I'm interested to see just how powerful you are. The moment the battle started, Fierce Snake lifted his silvery gray battle axe and charged at Werewolf. When his axe descended, even the air roared. However, without even retrieving the shield and saber from his back, Werewolf simply took a step back and allowed the battle axe to brush past his body, slamming into the ground. Werewolf immediately stomped down on the battle axe, the weapon becoming completely embedded into the ground. He then unsheathed the saber covered in golden magic runes from his back and slashed at the berserker's neck, the weapon creating a beautiful arc. The entire process flowed like water, and everyone who witnessed it was amazed. Before Fierce Snake could respond, a damage of -536 points appeared above his head. Although Werewolf's attack had not dealt a significant amount of damage to Fierce Snake, who had over 3,200 HP, this strike had dealt a heavy blow to the berserker's mentality. Before he could even react, Werewolf's attack struck him. In Fierce Snake's memories, this had never happened in any of the PvP battles he had participated in before. Seeing Werewolf's saber slashing at him again, Fierce Snake hurriedly used Whirlwind Slash. At this moment, Werewolf lifted his shield, blocking Fierce Snake's skill and taking a single step back. Fierce Snake took advantage of his small victory to follow up with a series of attacks, using skill after skill to force Werewolf into a continuous retreat. Yet, to everyone's surprise, Fierce Snake's HP continued to decrease despite being on the offensive. Every time Fierce Snake attacked, Werewolf would effortlessly block it with his shield and counterattack with his saber. Fierce Snake had no idea what was happening. Although he had tried to dodge and block Werewolf's counterattacks, the Shield Warrior's saber would always somehow land a hit. Even when Werewolf took the initiative to launch an attack, he couldn't dodge or defend himself. Werewolf's saber would always disappear in mid-swing before suddenly appearing elsewhere. By the time Werewolf's saber reappeared, it was too late for him to react. He could only watch as his HP fell, powerless to do anything about it. Damn! Seeing that he had less than 1,000 HP remaining, Fierce Snake gritted his teeth and activated Boiling Fury. At this point, if he hesitated to activate Boiling Fury, he would die in a few moments. However, even after activating Boiling Fury, Fierce Snake was no different than a baby swinging a large axe to Werewolf. This time, the Shield Warrior did not even bother to use his shield and relied on his reflexes to dodge every one of Fierce Snake's attacks. It looked as if Fierce Snake's axe actively avoided Werewolf as the weapon brushed past him, never hitting his body. Fierce Snake nearly crumbled. This scene dumbfounded both Gentle Snow and Zhao Yueru. They were familiar with Fierce Snake's strength. Yet, Werewolf could toy with him so effortlessly. Even Gentle Snow admitted that she was not capable of such a feat. Just who is he? Gentle Snow could not believe her eyes. Chao Chenghua had actually found someone so impressive. Most likely, only Zero Wings Guild leader, One-Hit Azura Black Flame, could contend with such a powerful expert. Inside the arena, Werewolf walked up to Fierce Snake, utterly relaxed. After swinging his saber twice, Fierce Snake's body fell to the ground, reluctance and frustration filling his face. Their strengths were on different levels entirely. Gentle Snow has definitely lost. The difference between our external player and hers is like heaven and earth. However, this is fate. Not everyone has the chance to connect with such an expert. If Chao Chenghua becomes the guild leader, he might be able to invite more experts into our guild. This would benefit the guild's future development. The elders seated in the spectator stands expressed their admiration of Warwolf's performance. They began to anticipate the future of the guild. As for Gentle Snow, they no longer expected anything of her. Chapter 404 The Difference Between Outsiders. Chapter 404 The Difference Between Outsiders. Gentle Snow, you should now see the difference between us, right? Chao Chenghua said, laughing as he grinned at Gentle Snow. From the very beginning, you never had any chance of winning this competition. There is only one ending for you all today: defeat. Gentle Snow, stoic and beautiful, refused to respond to Chao Chenghua's taunts. It was true that she had never expected Chao Chenghua to invite such an expert. Suddenly, this competition was no longer within her control. Originally, she had hoped for Fierce Snake's victory. Then, as long as Yi Feng secured another win, she would dominate this competition. Yet, now there were still 2 matches left. Even if Yi Feng won his match, they would end with a tie. However, they didn't have any experts for the final match. Big brother Yi Feng, what is going on? Violet Cloud's eyes widened in shock when she witnessed Warwolf's demonic attacks. Why does he know it too? Seeing as Warwolf can use Omnivision and second acceleration to such a refined standard, Chao Chenghua must have learned those techniques from him. Shifeng calmly explained. Realization immediately dawned on Violet Cloud. However, Shifeng's words had undeniably given Gentle Snow and the others a shock, each one of them falling silent. If Nimble Snake and Soaring Snake had also learned such mystifying techniques. Ha! That's right. Both Nimble Snake and Soaring Snake have also learned those techniques. Moreover, they are more proficient than I am. Chao Chenghua could not help but laugh when he saw Gentle Snow and the others' expressions. Gentle Snow, you understand now, right? You have no chance of winning this competition. On top of that, the 2 outsiders you've brought are merely 2 level 22 players. How could they possibly compete with the empowered Nimble Snake and Soaring Snake? Gentle Snow, just admit your loss right now. If you do, you won't have to suffer a humiliating defeat. At this time, both Nimble Snake and Soaring Snake shifted their gaze to Shifeng and Violet Cloud, disdain filling their eyes. How boring. They are the last opponents. With this, I can't test out my new techniques. Soaring Snake sighed with disappointment. If I fought Gentle Snow, I might have been able to display some of my strength. I heard that Yi Feng is quite strong. He was previously the first player to enter White River City, and had even defeated hundreds of players by himself during the initial stages of God's domain. He should provide some challenge and serve as a warm-up for the both of you. Chao Chenghua casually explained as he smirked at Shifeng. At this moment, Warwolf opened his mouth and said, That's right. You should not underestimate Yi Feng. I have seen his battle videos. Even though everyone's levels were very low at the time, based on the way Yi Feng moved and took action, I guarantee that he possesses a significant foundation in martial arts. Although he has yet to grasp Omnivision, you two should still be careful when fighting him. After Warwolf had agreed to aid Chao Chenghua, other than speaking while he trained them, he was usually silent. Warwolf's sudden and casual comment drew everyone's attention. Him? Nimble Snake looked at Shifeng, unable to feel any power or pressure from the ordinary-looking man. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly as he laughed and said, Big brother Warwolf, you worry too much. You taught both of us personally. Against such an amateur martial artist, I can easily take care of him alone. Before Nimble Snake had joined Chao Chenghua, he had never known that he could apply so many martial arts techniques to playing a game like God's Domain. When Chao Chenghua had first approached him, Nimble Snake did not even humor the thought of defecting. At that time, he felt that Gentle Snow's combat techniques were the epitome of what it meant to be an expert. However, after dueling Warwolf and suffering an overwhelming defeat, Nimble Snake realized that he had merely been a frog in the bottom of the well. It was like meeting Superman. Superman was the creation of man's imagination, a fictional character that could never exist. Yet, reality suddenly revealed that such fictional characters actually existed. This revelation had shaken Nimble Snake's beliefs. Hence, Nimble Snake had joined Chao Chenghua's side without hesitation and received special training from Werewolf. After spending a lot of time and effort, he finally grasped the technique called Omnivision. After grasping Omnivision, Nimble Snake finally realized how huge of a gap there was between him and Werewolf. If Gentle Snow was the peak of mortals, then after grasping Omnivision, Nimble Snake had exceeded mortal standards. The two were on entirely different levels. Top-tier experts? Great experts? They were just jokes in Nimble Snake's eyes. Nimble Snake, stop speaking nonsense. Brother Werewolf definitely has his reasons for what he said. No matter who faces Yi Feng, you must go all out against him, understand? Chao Chenghua reproached Nimble Snake, glaring at the assassin. Yes, I understand. Nimble Snake hurriedly lowered his head. At this moment, the fourth combatants had been revealed. Fourth match, Yi Feng vs. Soaring Snake. Ha! Perfect! Since Big Brother Werewolf said to be careful of Yi Feng, then I'll use him to test my new skills and see just how much I have improved. Soaring Snake walked into the arena excitedly. Soaring Snake was not a brawny man. On the contrary, he was very lean. However, although he was thin, his muscles were packed with explosive power like a cheetah's. Out of everyone in Chao Chenghua's team, Werewolf was the most optimistic about Soaring Snake. Not only did he possess the highest talent for combat, but the speed at which he learned also left everyone speechless. He had only taken half the time to learn Omnivision. Moreover, he was a natural-born fighting maniac. Under Werewolf's tutelage, Soaring Snake had developed with unimaginable speeds, and right now, he was definitely the #1 powerhouse in all of Ouroboros. If not for Chao Chenghua's wish to hide Soaring Snake's strength, the latter would have long since made it on the God's Domain experts list. Yi Feng, how confident are you? Gentle Snow suddenly asked as Shifeng was about to enter the arena. If you don't feel confident, just admit defeat. You are Zero Wing's backbone. It would not be beneficial for you to lose a level here. This competition was a miscalculation on my part. I never expected that Chao Chenghua had such a monster on his team. Not only is he a powerful fighter himself, but he has also enhanced Soaring Snake and Nimble Snake's strength. As for the losses you have suffered by joining me, I will pay 5 million credits. In Gentle Snow's opinion, Yi Feng was undoubtedly stronger than Soaring Snake. However, after finding out that Soaring Snake had completely changed, even Gentle Snow didn't think that she had much of a chance against him. Meanwhile, how much stronger could Yi Feng possibly be? A promise is a promise. Since Miss Snow has already invited me here, and I have agreed to help, how could I possibly flee without a fight? Shifeng revealed a faint smile as he entered the arena. Yi Feng is such a fool! Zhao Yueru huffed angrily. Didn't he see how powerful Werewolf was? Since Werewolf guided and taught Soaring Snake, even if he is not on par with Werewolf, he is probably not too far behind. Yi Feng is just trying to die. Alright, Yueru, everyone has their own bottom lines and styles of conduct. It is my fault for telling Yi Feng to give up without a fight. Gentle Snow placated Zhao Yueru. She then shifted her gaze to Shifeng inside the arena, a mix of feelings filling her heart. However, while Gentle Snow and Zhao Yueru both worried, Violet Cloud suddenly giggled and said, Since Big Brother Yi Feng has given his promise, he will fulfill it. You can rest assured about this. Both Gentle Snow and Zhao Yueru turned their heads to look at the little girl named Violet Cloud, confused. Just why was Violet Cloud so confident in Yi Feng? Violet Cloud simply smiled and remained silent. Only she realized that their opponents should be the ones worrying. Soaring Snake was about to fight none other than Star Moon Kingdom's #1 powerhouse, One-Hit Azura. Chapter 405 Techniques Are Useless. Chapter 405 Techniques Are Useless. Seeing Violet Cloud's confident yet silent smile, Zhao Yueru grew anxious. However, she also could not do anything about this situation, so she could only return her focus to the arena. Gentle Snow, on the other hand, was very calm, observing Violet Cloud. Previously, due to her anger over Nimble Snake's treachery, she had only glanced at the cleric, not paying her any mind. Now that Gentle Snow paid closer attention, she discovered that, although this little girl named Violet Cloud seemed like any ordinary spirited and harmless girl, she could feel a faint, indescribable pressure from the girl. It felt completely different from the pressure War Wolf gave off. War Wolf felt more like a slumbering, feral wolf, cruel, domineering, and vicious. As for Violet Cloud, she didn't know how to describe the girl. This was the first time she had encountered such a feeling. Violet Cloud felt like the starry sky at night, silent, awe-inspiring, and profound. Just who is this little girl that Yi Feng brought with him? Gentle Snow was quite confident in the accuracy of her sixth sense. After she started playing God's Domain, that sixth sense had only grown keener. Naturally, Violet Cloud noticed Gentle Snow staring at her. In response, she only nodded her head lightly and beamed a playful smile at the Snow Goddess. Inside the arena, Shifeng and Soaring Snake faced each other, both observing their respective opponent. Both were swordsmen, and the only difference between them was their level. Shifeng was only level 22 while Soaring Snake was level 24. With a difference of 2 levels and Soaring Snake's grasp of the combat technique Omnivision that granted him insight far beyond the average person, the battle was definitely tilted in Soaring Snake's favor. Yet, even though the starting signal for the battle had already occurred, Soaring Snake remained motionless. He stood there calmly, without any apparent intentions to rush at Shifeng. Soaring Snake, what are you doing? Why aren't you moving? Soaring Snake's hesitation puzzled his teammates. Usually, Soaring Snake was a battle maniac that would go into a frenzy the moment the battle began. He would never behave as calmly as he was now. Soaring Snake is certainly quite talented. War Wolf revealed a faint smile as he watched the motionless Soaring Snake. Big Brother War Wolf, what do you mean? Nimble Snake asked, confused. When in battle, one does not rely only on their physical prowess, but their mental strength as well. One must remain calm to obtain victory. Soaring Snake is currently adjusting his mentality, War Wolf explained. Indeed, just as War Wolf had said, Soaring Snake was not as excitable as he had once been. Instead, there was a hint of clarity in his eyes. Suddenly, Soaring Snake unsheathed his swords and, with a powerful stomp, dashed towards Shifeng. As the first apostle of Ouroboros, Soaring Snake's weapons and equipment spoke for themselves. Of the 2 swords he wielded, one was dark gold ranked, while the other was fine gold ranked. Meanwhile, a large majority of his equipment was fine gold ranked. His gear was among the best currently available in God's Domain. Soaring Snake crossed more than 20 yards and arrived before Shifeng in an instant. Immediately, he launched a rapid attack at Shifeng. Soaring Snake had no intention of fooling around with Shifeng. However, faced with Soaring Snake's bombardment, Shifeng leisurely unsheathed the abyssal blade and the Purgatory's shadow. Leaning forward, he lightly swung his 2 swords and readied his battle stance. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the arena changed. Everyone shivered, goosebumps covering their whole bodies. What is going on? Gentle Snow could sense something from Shifeng inside the arena. Who is this Yi Feng? Chao Chenghua watched Shifeng with shock. Just by adjusting his stance, Shifeng had managed to deter every one of his opponents, causing their hearts to beat madly. Suddenly, silence overtook the arena. Facing Shifeng, Soaring Snake stumbled like a frightened bird, abruptly halting his steps. Not even Soaring Snake understood why he had suddenly stopped. After regaining his composure, he resumed his charge at Shifeng. Your courage is commendable. Shifeng smiled faintly and nodded. Although Shifeng's voice was soft, Soaring Snake, with his acute 5 senses, could hear Shifeng's words clearly. Rage instantly burned in his heart. Activating Wind Blade, his speed increased once more as he slashed at Shifeng. However, the moment Soaring Snake was within range, Shifeng struck his adversary with even greater speed. Shifeng's sword was as fast as lightning, reaching Soaring Snake in no time at all. Just as the abyssal blade was about to slice open Soaring Snake's neck, something strange occurred. The sword, which should have originally cut Soaring Snake, struck only air. Meanwhile, Soaring Snake's upper body completely vanished from Shifeng's sight. Taking a closer look, Soaring Snake had actually reclined his body to evade Shifeng's fatal strike. A pity. Soaring Snake revealed a malevolent smile. Before Soaring Snake had even finished speaking, his two swords flew towards Shifeng's sides. His angle of attack was extremely complex and prevented Shifeng from dodging. With no better choice, Shifeng activated Defensive Blade to block the two attacks. He then took the chance to distance himself from Soaring Snake. What is going on here? Soaring Snake can dodge such a fast attack? Zhao Yueru considered herself an expert, and her dynamic vision was excellent. In her view, Shifeng's previous strike had been perfect. His strike was so fast that the attack should have been impossible to avoid. Yet that perfect strike had missed Soaring Snake. Instead, Shifeng was the one who had been struck twice. It was simply too strange. Inside the arena, Shifeng examined himself for wounds. He frowned at the amused smile plastered on Soaring Snake's face. Leisurely, he said, I never expected that you would have hidden your strength so well. Your reaction speed is impressive. I am both a swordsman and the strongest member of the 12 Apostles. How could I possibly be slow? Soaring Snake laughed. You, on the other hand, have truly surprised me. You were able to use Defensive Blade the moment I countered your attack. Your reactions are not slow either. No. I'm not talking about that. Shifeng shook his head. To be precise, you dodged my sword because your neural reaction is fast, no? Oh? You've discovered that? Soaring Snake asked, feeling slightly surprised. In the next moment, he smiled and said unconcernedly, So what? Do you think you can win despite it? Snow, what are they talking about? Zhao Yueru asked curiously. Many in the spectator stands had overheard the conversation in the arena. Zhao Yueru was thoroughly confused. You saw Yifeng's attack for yourself. It was a perfect strike. Yet Soaring Snake still dodged it. Do you know how? Gentle Snow inquired, wearing a grim expression. Isn't it because Soaring Snake detected Shifeng's attack, so he managed to evade it? Zhao Yueru did not understand what Gentle Snow was trying to say. You could put it that way. However, detecting an attack is one thing, dodging it is an entirely different matter. With the speed of Shifeng's strike, not even a top-tier assassin could dodge the attack from so close. Yet Soaring Snake had done just that. The reason lies in Soaring Snake's neural response rate. When ordinary people act, their brains go through three processes: cognition, understanding, and correspondence. Time is required to go through all three. Statistically, the average person's reaction time is 0.3 seconds. Top sprinters who have undergone arduous training can shorten it to around 0.15 seconds. However, no matter how hard a person trains, they can never lower the transmission speed of their neural signals below 0.1 seconds. Of course, this is only common knowledge. Based on Soaring Snake's reaction time, his was 0.7 seconds, possibly around 0.6 seconds. His reaction was a lot faster than the average person. In other words, where an ordinary person can carry out 3 to 4 actions in 1 second, Soaring Snake can act over a dozen times. Because of this, not only could Soaring Snake dodge Shifeng's sword, but he also managed to stab at Shifeng twice simultaneously. This is no longer a situation of technique or hard work, but talent. One could say that Soaring Snake is a true combat genius. Chapter 406 Rapid Showdown. Chapter 406 Rapid Showdown. Zhao Yueru was speechless upon hearing Gentle Snow's explanation. She was dazed as she stared at Soaring Snake. Soaring Snake had never been so powerful in the past. They never knew he possessed such talent. He had actually hidden his true strength so well. With this, who else could be his match in close combat? While ordinary people could launch 3 to 4 attacks, Soaring Snake could launch 14 or 15 attacks. He was invincible. Chances were that the only way to defeat Soaring Snake was to pull away and attack from a distance. Melee classes had no chance of winning. Ha! Yifeng is indeed commendable for discerning Soaring Snake's ability. However, there's no way Soaring Snake will lose this match. A huge smile appeared on Chao Chenghua's dignified face. As long as Soaring Snake won this match, this competition would come to an end. Meanwhile, he would officially take hold of the position of guild leader. Everything was going exactly as he had expected. I was just warming up. If I take this fight seriously, I will only become faster. You are pretty amazing for blocking my last 2 attacks. Let's see how many attacks you can block. Although Soaring Snake was slightly surprised by how quickly Shi Feng had discerned his talent, his opponent could never overcome it. There was not a single swordsman who could beat him. Swordsmen mainly relied on their normal attacks in battle. It was a class that wore down their enemies by attrition. If faced with a ranged class, Soaring Snake might have had some difficulties. However, against another swordsman, he was practically invincible with his reaction speed. Moreover, he had also grasped Omnivision. He could easily perceive his enemy's every movement and strike their weak points. Combining this martial arts technique with his inhuman reaction speed, in a melee battle, he was invulnerable. As he said so, Soaring Snake abruptly stomped on the ground, and like a fierce gale, his body shot towards Shi Feng. Straight-line attacks could usually be easily seen and dealt with. Despite knowing this, however, Soaring Snake still chose to face Shi Feng head-on, as if saying, "Come at me if you can. You want to compete with speed?" Shi Feng's frown deepened. Facing Soaring Snake, someone with such a unique talent, would be disadvantageous for Shi Feng. Although Soaring Snake's assault had many flaws, the swordsman was not afraid of exploitation. Even if Shi Feng attacked Soaring Snake, the latter could easily perceive the attack with his Omnivision. With Soaring Snake's reaction speed, before Shi Feng's sword could reach him, he would have already evaded it. Following which, Shi Feng activated the aura of wind of the 7 luminaries ring, increasing his movement speed by 40%, attack speed by 40%, and agility by 30%. He then dashed forward to meet Soaring Snake in battle. With breakneck speed, Soaring Snake had sent out 16 sword images, forcing Shi Feng to deal with 16 attacks simultaneously. However, after activating the aura of wind, Shi Feng's speed allowed him to deflect all 16 attacks easily. For the time being, both sides were equally matched. Despite Shi Feng having a huge advantage in terms of speed, Soaring Snake's reaction speed was unmatched. Even if Shi Feng's attacks were faster, Soaring Snake could respond instantaneously. The clash of metal resounded relentlessly throughout the arena, the noise reaching deafening levels. Every time Shi Feng's and Soaring Snake's swords met, dazzling sparks would scatter around them. The spectating crowd's hearts pounded as they watched the 2 swordsmen confront each other. Each attack was simply too fast. The threat of death dominated each second. The slightest mistake would determine victory or defeat. "Yi Feng is this strong? No wonder he was so confident," Zhao Yueru said with shock, her eyes focused on Shi Feng inside the arena, who had yet to lose any HP. Fierce Snake, who had been resurrected not long ago, nodded in agreement. In such a furious showdown, he might not last even 2 seconds before suffering defeat. "Of course. Big brother Yi Feng is very strong." Violet Cloud giggled. What a joke. How could the publicly acknowledged #1 expert of Star Moon Kingdom, One-Hit Azura, lose just because the opponent possesses a special physique? Fine. Your big brother Yi Feng is the most amazing. Zhao Yueru was also relieved upon seeing Shi Feng's performance. If Shi Feng lost this match, today's competition would end. Meanwhile, Chao Chenghua's team was also greatly shocked by the battle happening before them. Soaring Snake was Ouroboros's undisputed #1 expert, yet an unknown player like Yi Feng could match him evenly. That Yi Feng is amazing. He is actually able to cope with Soaring Snake's violent offensive. Even I can't last as long. Nimble Snake felt slightly surprised as he looked at the relaxed expression on Yi Feng's face. However, the result of this match will soon be determined. Warwolf suddenly said, smiling faintly. "Big brother Warwolf, what do you mean?" Nimble Snake asked curiously. Soaring Snake still hasn't used everything he has. He is simply probing Yi Feng at the moment. Didn't you see that Soaring Snake hasn't used second acceleration yet? Werewolf had the keenest eyesight among everyone present, and with just a glance, he could tell that Soaring Snake conserved a considerable amount of his strength. No wonder Yifeng is still standing. Nimble Snake laughed. As Werewolf and the others discussed the fight, inside the arena, Soaring Snake suddenly retreated a few steps, pulling a small distance away from Shifeng. Meanwhile, Shifeng did not give chase. Instead, he silently observed the swordsman facing him. You have really surprised me. Ever since I learned Omnivision, you have been the first person who has lasted this long against me. How about it? If you join us, Big Brother Werewolf can help you become even stronger than you are now. As for the remuneration Gentle Snow has offered, I believe that Brother Chow will not hesitate to double that amount now that he has seen what you are capable of. Soaring Snake said, smiling at Shifeng confidently. Even with his inhuman reaction speed, Soaring Snake found it extremely difficult to counter Shifeng's attacks. Shifeng's strikes were simply too fast, so much so that, if he had not perceived the attack's trajectory beforehand, it would be impossible to dodge or block them. If the assassin Nimble Snake stood in his place, the battle would have ended long ago. Only a talented person like himself could possibly avoid Shifeng's attacks. Chao Chenghua cannot afford to give me what I want. So, just forget about it, Shifeng said, shaking his head. What a pity. Die then. Soaring Snake's smile instantly twisted into something sinister. In the blink of an eye, he launched 18 sword images, blocking all of Shifeng's paths of retreat. Although the 18 sword images did not appear to be fast, Shifeng knew that Soaring Snake was no longer holding back. Of these 18 sword strikes, Soaring Snake had applied second acceleration to every one. When the 18 sword images were about to reach their mark, Shifeng simultaneously activated Purgatory Power, Windwalk, Windblade, and Windrider, and rather than retreating, he dashed forward to meet the incoming attacks. Shifeng was like a phantom. In the blink of an eye, he had weaved through the gaps between Soaring Snake's sword images. When Shifeng and Soaring Snake collided, a silvery gray flash appeared on the latter's body. The time it took the two to cross swords was only an instant. For some reason, however, an impressive gout of blood sprayed from Soaring Snake's body, splashing across the floor. Following which, Soaring Snake released an agonized scream as he tumbled to the ground. What? What happened? The crowd fell silent at this sudden development. Only the sound of Soaring Snake's scream echoed throughout the arena. Chapter 407 Final Battle. Chapter 407 Final Battle. This? What? What just happened? Why did Soaring Snake fall even after using second acceleration? When was Soaring Snake attacked? Chao Chenghua bellowed. Chao Chenghua simply could not believe what he had just seen. From his position, he could see the entire battle, yet, he was completely clueless as to what had just happened between the two swordsmen. It was simply ridiculous. In fact, Chao Chenghua wasn't the only one confused. None of the spectators understood what had just happened. The crowd saw Shifeng dive headfirst into the Soaring Snake's sword images before he suddenly vanished. Before they realized it, Shifeng had already walked past Soaring Snake's body. Meanwhile, multiple sword wounds had appeared on Soaring Snake, blood gushing from those wounds. In this match, no matter how one looked at it, Soaring Snake had already obtained his victory, yet, the true outcome of the battle was completely unexpected. For a moment, nobody could accept this reality. As Soaring Snake's instructor, Werewolf was most familiar with Soaring Snake's strength. Werewolf was also an expert with frightening combat power in his own right. However, after witnessing this scene, he, too, found it unbelievable, so much so that he was more shocked than everyone else present. The higher you were, the better view you would have. Others might not have realized what had happened, but Werewolf had seen some clues. However, his confusion was precisely because of what he had seen. Although Shifeng's speed was indeed frightening, it was not at the level of becoming invisible. Yet, the instant Shifeng closed in on Soaring Snake, he suddenly vanished. By the time Werewolf noticed Shifeng again, the latter had arrived by Soaring Snake's side, their shoulders brushing past each other. In other words, when Shifeng had charged at Soaring Snake, he had disappeared from view not because of speed, but because Wolf's mind had failed to perceive Shifeng. Even Soaring Snake, who used Omnivision and his inhuman reaction speed, had failed to perceive Shifeng. This was what thoroughly confused Wolf. How had Shifeng achieved such a feat? Second acceleration was a technique used to confuse the eye, utilizing acceleration to catch an enemy off guard and attack their blind spot. With this technique, enemies would still have a small window to react. However, Shifeng's technique did not allow his enemies even that brief time before his sword landed. After Soaring Snake died, he dropped a level 20 fine gold ranked pauldron, which Shifeng casually pocketed. Shifeng also secretly collected an immortal soul. Now, he only needed 9,999 more. After Soaring Snake lost his immortal soul, not only did he lose a level, but he was also barred from logging into God's domain for a time. As for exactly how long he was barred from the game, even Shifeng did not know. If it were short, it might only be 1 or 2 days. If it were a long wait, Soaring Snake might not be able to log in for 3 or 4 days. In short, Soaring Snake would have to stay put for some time. Yifeng, how did you manage to defeat Soaring Snake? Zhao Yueru, unable to contain her curiosity, immediately went up to him and asked when she saw Shifeng exit the arena. She had too many questions about the battle. Because of this match, Zhao Yueru suddenly felt like a noob that had only started playing games, completely clueless. Despite having witnessed everything with her own eyes, she had no idea of what had actually happened. Do you want to know? Shifeng was slightly surprised as he looked at the excited woman rushing up to him. He never expected Zhao Yueru to be the first person to ask him. Zhao Yueru nodded, her eyes revealing a hint of anticipation. Zhao Yueru was very curious about how Shifeng had managed to not only dodge the 18 sword images, but also neutralize Soaring Snake's inhuman reaction speed, killing him instantly. After thinking for a moment, Shifeng said seriously, I just went up to him and slashed him 3 times, that's all. Everyone present was immediately rendered speechless. Zhao Yueru had been about to tackle Shifeng and take a few bites out of him if it not for Gentle Snow holding her back. All right, Yueru, everyone has their own secrets. You can't force him to tell you. Now that we have won the 4th match, each side has 2 wins and 2 losses. This result is all thanks to Yifeng. The following match will determine the result of this competition. At this moment, Gentle Snow felt very fortunate that she had thought of inviting Yifeng when she had prepared for this competition. Although she had felt that Yifeng had a good chance of securing a victory for her, she had never expected him to surprise her like this. Despite facing the greatly enhanced First Apostle, Soaring Snake, Yifeng had defeated him with overwhelming might. She could never have expected this result. Gentle Snow found it very hard to believe that such an expert had remained unknown all this time. Was it because they were too weak to encounter such experts? Or was it because these experts loved to play the role of a weakling? Even Gentle Snow was unsure. However, the few fights today had certainly widened her horizons. She really could not figure out what kind of Guild Zero Wing was. First, there was Black Flame. Now, the combat power Yifeng displayed was not the slightest bit inferior, and might even be superior, to Black Flame's. Of course, Black Flame had never displayed his true strength to the public, so Gentle Snow could not be certain of who was stronger. Regardless, though, the 2 of them were true monsters. Big Brother Yifeng, what's wrong? Violet Cloud could feel that something was amiss. The moment Shifeng left the arena, he immediately sat down in the first row of seats. Now, his forehead was covered with sweat. Shifeng was obviously dispirited, and he seemed exhausted. It's nothing. The high-intensity battle simply exhausted my mental power. I'll be fine after a short rest. You should get ready for the next match. Shifeng replied softly, not trying to hide his current weakness. Although he was exhausted right now, he brimmed with joy. Everyone had thought that he had defeated Soaring Snake effortlessly. In reality, however, It had not been easy to dodge the 18 sword images while dealing a fatal blow. If he had not been promoted to a Tier 1 Blade Saint with his attributes enhanced greatly and his physical strength increased substantially, he might not have been able to use Void Steps in the exchange. Although Shifeng had other methods to deal with Soaring Snake, he had chosen to take the risk because he wanted to break through his personal barrier and improve himself further. Fortunately, his gamble succeeded. Under the immense pressure Soaring Snake had placed on him, Shifeng had finally reached a breakthrough and used footwork that he had never been able to use in the past. Void Steps. Void Steps was advanced footwork that allowed one to remove their presence from the opponent's mind. In the past, very few top-tier experts had successfully grasped such advanced footwork. As for Shifeng, who had merely been a first-rate expert back then, he had only ever succeeded in his dreams. In order to learn this advanced footwork, Shifeng had done countless research and trials. Yet, he had never succeeded. This footwork possessed an extremely high requirement of a person's movement and breathing. It was not a technique that ordinary people could easily learn. However, Shifeng's physique had massively improved after he had undergone his class change. His control over his body had also improved. In addition, he was currently playing the game through a virtual gaming cabin. Hence, Shifeng had always thought of giving the footwork a try. Only he had never found the chance. Fortunately, Soaring Snake had created the perfect opportunity for him. With the threat of death looming, the pressure allowed Shifeng to finally break through that unreachable barrier. Meanwhile, as Shifeng was still feeling joyous over his own breakthrough, the fifth match of the competition had begun. Fifth match: Violet Cloud vs. Nimble Snake. Chapter 408 Level vs Tier. Chapter 408 Level vs Tier. Shifeng's overwhelming victory during the fourth match had undoubtedly formed dark clouds in Chao Qinghua's heart. As if something was stuck in his throat, Chao Qinghua felt extremely uncomfortable. Why hasn't Soaring Snake resurrected? Chao Qinghua was in a sour mood. If Shifeng was so powerful, then the cleric girl that came with him must be extraordinary as well. She might also know the same technique as his. Even now, Chao Qinghua had no clue as to what Shifeng had done. Without that knowledge, he had no response to it. Most likely, only Soaring Snake might know what sort of technique it was. Since Soaring Snake was still absent, Chao's anxiety began to take hold. Currently, the competition was tied, and Nimble Snake and Violet Cloud would face off in the final match. Nimble Snake was an assassin. Although he had an absolute advantage against the cleric and had learned Omnivision and second acceleration, they would be useless against Shifeng's technique. Brother Chao, for some reason, Soaring Snake has logged off and is still offline. I can't contact him at all, Nimble Snake reported. At this moment, Nimble Snake was also panicking, afraid that his opponent would know the same technique that won the previous match. If he lost, Chao Qinghua would be finished. His life wouldn't exactly be easy either. Chao Qinghua paled as he looked at Soaring Snake's status window. He wished he could log off and strangle Soaring Snake. Playing hooky at such a crucial moment, was he trying to toy with him? Guild Leader Chao, you don't have to be so worried. Although Yifeng is very powerful, that female cleric is different from those like Yifeng and me. Warwolf suddenly spoke. Brother Warwolf, are you sure? Chao hesitated. If Violet Cloud were not a martial artist like Yifeng and Warwolf, then even if she had powerful techniques, Chao Qinghua would have nothing to worry about. A cleric was still a cleric after all. Yes. She does not have the unique aura that people like us possess. I guarantee it, Warwolf affirmed, nodding. Excellent. Chao Qinghua's face lit up with a relieved smile. He then shifted his gaze to the other team, muttering in a cold tone. Gentle Snow, oh gentle Snow. Although you invited an expert of such caliber, in the end, you are still a step behind. Nimble Snake, do not disappoint me. Brother Chao, rest assured. She is only a level 22 cleric. I could have defeated her effortlessly even before I underwent the special training. Nimble Snake revealed a sinister grin as he glanced at Violet Cloud, who had already entered the arena. He was currently level 24. To an expert, an advantage of 2 levels made quite a difference. Following which, Nimble Snake entered the arena as well. Meanwhile, seated in the spectator stands, Werewolf still appeared indifferent. There was not the slightest hint of a smile on his face. In truth, he had only finished half of his statement. Violet Cloud indeed did not possess the unique aura of a martial artist. However, with his acute senses, Werewolf could feel a faint sense of danger from her. This danger was slightly different from that of a ferocious beast. It felt almost like a divine pressure. Just what secret is this female cleric hiding? Although Werewolf was not trying to boast, in God's domain, he did not fear many people. Even if he encountered someone who could intimidate him, it definitely would not be the young little girl standing inside the arena. Yet there was something about her that gave him pause. Meanwhile, the tension was similarly high on Gentle Snow's side. Yifeng, will Violet really be alright? Zhao Yueru asked as she took a seat beside Shifeng. She wanted a straight answer from him. Although she did not know why, Zhao Yueru felt that Shifeng knew something she did not. It should be alright, Shifeng said, uncertain. Should? What do you mean should? If Violet loses, Snow will have to leave God's domain forever. Are you really willing to lose her? Zhao Yueru huffed. Listening to Zhao Yueru's words, Shifeng was suddenly speechless. Yueru? Gentle Snow glared. To think that her friend could still joke at a time like this. Gentle Snow was somewhat familiar with Shifeng's personality. Shifeng would never speak without certainty. If he said it, then it was true. Otherwise, he would remain quiet. But Zhao Yueru knew that her questioning would not change anything. She only wanted Shifeng's confirmation so that she could feel more at ease. I really do not know. Nimble Snake's current strength, especially after grasping combat techniques such as Omnivision and second acceleration, is a complete mystery to me. As for Violet's current progress, I don't know that either. However, she should be quite powerful. At least, without Omnivision and second acceleration, Nimble Snake wouldn't even be a challenge for her. Now, however, I do not know. We can only wait and see, Shifeng explained as he understood Zhao Yueru's anxiety. Before Werewolf's appearance, Shifeng had been certain of Violet Cloud's victory regardless of who she fought. Now, however, Nimble Snake had learned combat techniques that very few experts knew. Of course, although Nimble Snake had the advantages of levels and techniques, Violet Cloud possessed the advantage of tiers. Simply put, the results of this match were unknown. After listening to Shifeng's explanation, Zhao Yueru grew even more nervous. Wasn't that the same as saying nothing at all? Gentle Snow, on the other hand, was greatly surprised. From Shifeng's words, Violet Cloud was actually superior to Nimble Snake. Nimble Snake had originally been one of the top combatants of Ouroboros, and even Gentle Snow could not obtain an easy victory if they fought. However, Shifeng was confident when he spoke. Thus, Gentle Snow believed him. Violet Cloud was only a young girl around 16 or 17 years old. How could she possibly be so strong? If Shifeng's statement was true, then there might still be hope. Moreover, Violet Cloud was a ranged class. She would have an easier time dealing with techniques such as Omnivision and second acceleration. Suddenly, the countdown timer above the arena had ended. Immediately, Nimble Snake activated stealth and vanished. One had to admit that Nimble Snake was indeed one of the top combatants of Ouroboros. After entering stealth, all of his movements were silent. He was even stealthier than Absolute Heaven, and not even Shifeng, who watched from the spectator stands, could tell Nimble Snake's exact location. Time passed little by little. Other than Violet Cloud, there was nobody else visible inside the arena. However, Nimble Snake revealed no intentions of making a move. As a result, the atmosphere inside the arena grew tenser as more time went by. This was one of the methods often used by assassins. By doing so, they could instill paranoia in their target, exhausting their target's mental fortitude. As soon as their target relaxed, they would launch a fatal assault. Hence, many players despise dealing with assassins. After all, it was tiresome to remain on high alert for long periods of time. Hence, assassins had a natural advantage when fighting against all classes. Hey, that's quite some patience you have there, little girl. We'll see how long you last. The moment you relax will be the moment you die. At this moment, Nimble Snake stood only 10 yards away from Violet Cloud. To an agility-focused assassin, an instant was all that was necessary to cross that distance. Chapter 409 The Difference of Tiers. Chapter 409 The Difference of Tiers. The seconds ticked past. The crowd seated in the spectator stands were on the edge of their seats. Although they were not the ones fighting, they were just as focused on the battle as the combatants in the arena. This was the final match. The result of this match would determine the fates of both sides. The winner would become the guild leader of Ouroboros, and their team members would obtain success and prestige. The loser, however, would have to leave God's domain forever, and those who followed them would struggle in the future. As a result, the tension was practically tangible in the stands. Even the elders observing the fight from the side felt heavy. Nimble Snake, show yourself if you dare! It has already been more than 20 minutes, yet you still act like a coward! Even with the advantage of your class, you play such a dirty trick! Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Zhao Yueru shouted, her crescent brows tightened as she frowned at the quiet arena. From the beginning, Nimble Snake had shown no sign of attacking. Zhao Yueru was greatly tempted to charge into the arena and fight the assassin with Violet Cloud. Nimble Snake was cunning. In order to gain victory, he would willingly act unscrupulously. To guard against her opponent, Violet Cloud had to stay on high alert, focusing her senses to detect any movements. At best, an ordinary person could only maintain their concentration for half an hour or so. If pushed any longer, not only would they greatly exhaust their mental fortitude, but they would also become susceptible to distractions. Soon, they would unconsciously reveal flaws in their defense. However, this was a type of defense mechanism, so it was unavoidable. Meanwhile, the match had stretched on for almost half an hour now. Even Zhao Yueru felt her concentration begin to reach its limit. If this stalemate dragged on any longer, she would definitely falter. When experts fought each other, even the slightest distraction could mean death. Ha! We never set a time limit for the matches, so it is up to them to choose how they fight. If you must blame someone, blame yourselves for not thinking of this beforehand. Don't you think it's a little too late to regret it now? Blackheart Arrow laughed triumphantly. Zhao Yueru was suddenly speechless. The statement was not false. It was true that they had not set a time limit for this competition. However, nobody ever expected Nimble Snake to do something so underhanded. Originally, Zhao Yueru had thought that she knew how low Nimble Snake would go. However, it would seem that she still underestimated the treacherous bastard. It turned out that he did not have even the basic self-respect of an expert. He actually planned on dragging the match on for over half an hour. It was my mistake. I had forgotten to set a time limit despite knowing that we would face an assassin, Gentle Snows said remorsefully as she watched Violet Cloud, who already began to show signs of mental exhaustion. She had blundered during such a crucial competition. Without a doubt, her mistake had significantly decreased Violet Cloud's chances of victory. Don't be too nervous. Just watch. I believe that Violet Cloud knows what to expect, Shurfong advised, his gaze fixed on his guildmate as well. But relax. Shurfong was not the slightest bit worried at this moment. Although Nimble Snake was indeed skilled, he still had a long way to go if he wanted to defeat Violet Cloud. Finally, half an hour had passed since the match had begun. It seems that this little girl is close to reaching her limit. All this time, Nimble Snake had carefully observed Violet Cloud from a distance. In reality, he had plenty of chances to make his move during this half an hour. However, he resisted. To be 100% certain that he would kill the cleric, he chose to wait until this very moment. Sweat had already appeared on Violet Cloud's forehead. It was obvious that her concentration had reached its limit. Nimble Snake even slipped up deliberately and made a little noise when he was about 10 yards from her. An expert with acute senses would detect the sound. However, Violet Cloud failed to sense it at all. Sure enough, she has grown tired. Nimble Snake was overjoyed. He then circled to Violet Cloud's back, silently drawing closer. 10 yards. 5 yards. 3 yards. Soon, Nimble Snake arrived behind Violet Cloud and unsheathed his gleaming dagger, before stabbing it between the girl's shoulders. Ambush. Ambush placed the target in a fainted state for 4 seconds. During the early stages of God's domain, control removal skills were extremely rare. As long as his attack landed, Nimble Snake could kill her quickly with a chain of skills. To ensure his victory, Nimble Snake had even used second acceleration. Even if Violet Cloud discovered his attack, it would still be impossible for her to block it. The moment before Nimble Snake's dagger sank into the cleric, Violet Cloud released a mighty roar. Terrorizing Roar. Terrorizing Roar feared all enemies within a radius of 8 yards. Feared players would lose all control over their bodies. Suddenly, Ambush struck Violet Cloud, and she entered a fainted state, while Nimble Snake had been feared by Terrorizing Roar. Violet is amazing. She actually managed to use Terrorizing Roar at the very last second. Now either side can attack each other. Moreover, now that Nimble Snake has been exposed, he has also lost the initiative of this fight. Next, once Violet distances herself from Nimble Snake, she can wear him down and finish him. Zhao Yueru exclaimed after seeing Violet Cloud's performance. However, Gentle Snow said, "No. Snow, is there a problem?" Zhao Yueru asked curiously. Nimble Snake is level 24, but Violet is only level 22. Though both of their control skills have a duration of 4 seconds, as Nimble Snake is 2 levels higher, the effect of Violet's Terrorizing Roar will definitely be slightly weaker. It is highly possible that the skill's effect will only last 3-5 seconds. However, Violet will remain incapacitated for a full 4 seconds. Nimble Snake can do a lot of things during that 0.5 second gap, Gentle Snow said with a grim expression. Although Violet Cloud's counterattack was marvelous, there was a small level gap between them. Does that mean we've lost? Zhao Yueru's expression suddenly became melancholic. Chao Chenghua had also revealed a victorious smile. As soon as the control effect on Nimble Snake ended, the result of this match would be set in stone. However, Shifeng suddenly smiled and said, "No, we've won." "Won?" Yao Yueru turned to look at Shifeng. Whispering, she said, "But Violet's fainted duration is longer than Nimble Snake's. How is she going to win?" "You'll find out." Shifeng laughed. "What?" Shifeng confused every spectator. However, since an expert like Shifeng had said such a thing, he had his own reasons. "What nonsense!" Blackheart Arrow scoffed as he glanced at the distant Shifeng. Ridiculing, he said, "It is common sense that the level suppression in God's domain is severe. One will only suffer if there is a difference of 3 levels. Although Nimble Snake is only 2 levels higher, it is enough to weaken a skill's effect significantly. What an ignorant fool!" However, before Blackheart Arrow could finish, inside the arena, Violet Cloud suddenly recovered ahead of Nimble Snake. "No! How is this possible? It hasn't even been 3 seconds!" Blackheart Arrow's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. Shifeng was the only player who was not surprised. None of them could understand how Violet Cloud recovered first. "What a pity! You might be 2 levels above me, but I am 1 tier above you." Violet Cloud looked at Nimble Snake, who currently shivered uncontrollably on the spot, smiling faintly as she waved her staff. A black magic array then formed beneath Nimble Snake's feet. "Good. I still have a chance." Nimble Snake, who had originally begun to despair, suddenly saw hope. Violet Cloud had foolishly chosen a spell with a long casting time. Although Nimble Snake still had no control over his body, he could see and hear without any issues. The magic array forming beneath him needed 1 second to complete. Meanwhile, he was less than 1 second from reaching the 3-5 second duration of his feared state. At that time, he could simply use Vanish to avoid Violet Cloud's spell. However, as if ignorant of this fact, Violet Cloud continued chanting her incantation. Just as the 5 seconds were almost up, and Nimble Snake was about to use Vanish. What's going on? Nimble Snake suddenly noticed that he still had no control over his own body. Meanwhile, the magic array Violet Cloud summoned began to activate. Tier 1 Advanced Spell, Black Coffin. Chapter 410 Unpredictable Astromancer. Chapter 410 Unpredictable Astromancer. What's going on with Nimble Snake? Chao Qinghua asked, having paid attention to the system clock all this time. Isn't he 2 levels higher than that cleric girl? Nimble Snake had clearly been incapacitated for over 5 seconds now, yet he was still feared. Meanwhile, Violet Cloud had long since regained her freedom. This series of events had shattered Chao Qinghua's understanding of God's domain completely. Even Zhao Yueru, who had thought that they had lost, was dumbfounded by what she saw. Gentle Snow's gaze also held doubt as she watched the battle inside the arena. The scene happening before her made no sense. Among the crowd, only Shi Feng knew that Nimble Snake had fallen into a trap. Compared to level suppression, tier suppression was far more powerful. It was like comparing the fist of an infant and a fist of an adult. The combatants were on completely different levels. As a tier 1 player, even if Violet Cloud fought a tier 0 player who was 10 levels above her, her control skills would be 100% effective or more. On the other hand, when a tier 0 player used a control skill against a tier 1 player 10 levels below them, the effect of their control skills would weaken by at least 30%. This was the harsh reality of gap in tiers. This was why high-tiered players were so valuable and so overwhelmingly strong. Before anyone in the spectator stands could properly analyze the situation, Violet Cloud sealed her opponent inside a dark and silent barrier. Nimble Snake felt as if he were locked inside a huge coffin. This barrier stunned the watching crowd. Except for Shi Feng, of course. Nobody knew how powerful this black coffin was, and they did not know what was special about it. However, every player present was an expert, and when the crowd looked at the pitch-black barrier, they felt their souls tremble with fear. The black coffin was like a giant beast, and only death awaited those who were devoured. After trapping Nimble Snake inside the black coffin, Violet Cloud immediately distanced herself from it. The black coffin would gradually dissipate after 3 seconds. By the time it vanished, Violet Cloud was already more than 20 yards away from Nimble Snake. Even if Nimble Snake wanted to launch a counterattack, he would find it extremely difficult to do so from such a distance. What's going on? Why didn't I receive any damage? Nimble Snake had originally thought he was dead for sure. After all, an advanced spell that took an entire second to cast must be frighteningly powerful. However, he was actually unharmed. Is it because of my level that the spell's damage was nullified? Or maybe this is only a control spell? Nimble Snake relaxed. He then focused his gaze on the distant Violet Cloud. Although this distance was slightly disadvantageous to him, he had many ways to resolve this minor problem. Suddenly, Violet Cloud waved her staff, and sacred sanctions descended from the sky, falling towards the assassin. In response, Nimble Snake sneered as he started moving. With little effort, he dodged the attack and charged at Violet Cloud. However, Nimble Snake quickly discovered that something was amiss. Somehow, his HP suddenly fell by 500 points, and a moment later, it had fallen by another 500 points. Nimble Snake only had slightly more than 3,100 HP. Now that he had suddenly lost 1,000 HP, he only had around 2,100 HP left. But nothing hit me. Nimble Snake was 100% certain that he had dodged the several sacred sanctions. Before Nimble Snake could figure out what had happened, Violet Cloud sent another barrage of sacred sanctions towards him. Nimble Snake advanced once more to dodge the attacks. However, he lost another 500 HP the moment he moved. Violet Cloud sent an attack once more. Knowing that he could no longer afford to lose HP, Nimble Snake started using his daggers to fend off the sacred sanctions. This time, he did not receive any damage. I was found out! Violet Cloud giggled. Astromancers possess very few spells that dealt high damages. A majority of their attacks were strange and unpredictable. This was what Violet Cloud had discovered after researching her new class. Even until now, Violet Cloud had yet to grasp the true essence of an Astromancer completely. Black Coffin was one such skill. Any players caught by the spell would lose HP when they moved. Meanwhile, the amount of HP they lost depended on the spellcaster's intelligence. In addition, Black Coffin also had a silence effect. This spell worked wonders on melee classes. By now, Nimble Snake had grasped the general gist of the situation. However, when he thought about how he could neither move nor use any skills, only enduring a beating, he suddenly grew sullen. The crowd was also amazed upon seeing the effects of Violet Cloud's skill. This skill is so powerful! So that's why little sister Violet used it. Nimble Snake is dead for sure. By the time he reaches little sister Violet, his HP will have fallen to nothing, Zhao Yueru exclaimed. Although it is powerful, this move has a glaring flaw, Shifeng said, smiling. Flaw? Zhao Yueru wondered but quickly understood. In just a moment, her excited heart froze. Since Nimble Snake lost HP whenever he moved, he would be fine if he stood still. With Nimble Snake's capabilities, he could easily block the cleric's attacks. Unless Violet Cloud could suddenly become an elementalist. Moreover, since it was a spell's effect, it had a duration. When the spell's duration ended, Nimble Snake could move freely once again. Since Zhao Yueru could figure out this simple solution, Nimble Snake could certainly figure it out as well. Indeed, Nimble Snake had simply chosen to remain where he was for now as he waited for time to pass. Surprisingly, upon seeing Nimble Snake's actions, Shifeng smiled. To do nothing and give a casting class so much time. Was that really a good idea? Delaying for time? Violet Cloud smiled faintly. She then increased the distance between them to almost 30 yards before she began chanting an incantation and waving her staff. Compared to when she had cast Black Coffin, the channeling time for her current spell was much shorter. It was clear that she was not using an advanced spell as she had before. Although Nimble Snake had revealed a throwing weapon, Violet Cloud had long since prepared for it as she cast a sacred shield on herself, the spell capable of absorbing a significant amount of damage. In addition, Violet Cloud could physically dodge the attacks sent at her. After all, an assassin was not a specialized ranged class, so Violet Cloud effortlessly defended against all attacks thrown at her. As a result, Nimble Snake could only stare at Violet Cloud helplessly. When the cleric finished channeling her spell, she pointed her jade-like finger at Nimble Snake, who stood 30 yards away from her. Suddenly, her opponent felt a powerful suction, pulling him towards Violet Cloud. Although he tried to resist, his efforts were futile as he moved closer to Violet Cloud. Moreover, the speed at which he approached her increased as he grew nearer. The moment Nimble Snake arrived before Violet Cloud, multiple damages of -500 appeared above his head, and his HP decreased rapidly. Nimble Snake knew that he was finished. A distance of 30 yards was sufficient to deplete his remaining 2,100 HP. To hell with it! A hint of madness surfaced in Nimble Snake's eyes. Now that the two were in such proximity, his daggers could reach Violet Cloud easily. In a flash, Nimble Snake tightened his grip on his daggers and sent over half a dozen blades of silver light flying towards Violet Cloud. In response, Violet Cloud simply flicked her finger. All of a sudden, an incomparably strong pressure slammed down on Nimble Snake, holding him in place. Even the two daggers he brandished froze centimeters away from Violet Cloud. In the next moment, the assassin abruptly shot backward. Flying over 20 yards away, his body smashed into the wall of the arena. Victor of the fifth match, Violet Cloud. Chapter 411 Victory and Defeat. Chapter 411 Victory and Defeat. Violet Cloud's easy victory had rendered everyone speechless. Nimble Snake, one of the 12 apostles of Ouroboros, had been effortlessly manipulated, so much so that he failed to inflict even a single point of damage to a cleric. If this matter reached the public, nobody would believe it. We won? Although Zhao Yueru had prayed that Violet Cloud could win, she had not expected that the girl could so easily. However, Violet Cloud's skills were peculiar. It was especially true for her final skill. It had complemented Black Coffin perfectly, allowing the skill to display its full potential. Violet Cloud's and Yifeng's combat styles were clearly different. Violet Cloud had not used any stunning attacks like Shifeng. Instead, she utilized her skills to their very limits. From beginning to end, Nimble Snake had no chance to employ his advantage of techniques. Violet Cloud practically had him in the palm of her hand this entire match. Regarding combat techniques, Zhao Yueru did not think that Violet Cloud was much stronger herself. Unlike Yifeng and Warwolf, Violet Cloud's techniques were not at an unreachable level. Only the skills Violet Cloud possessed were simply too powerful. Despite Nimble Snake's techniques being far superior, he still lost in the end. Yifeng, is she really a cleric? Although Gentle Snow rejoiced, she was also incredibly curious. She refused to believe that a cleric could possess such powerful skills. Moreover, from the looks of it, Violet Cloud's basic attributes were significantly higher than Zhao Yueru's. Yes and no, Shifeng said, smiling. He could guess what was going through Gentle Snow's mind right now. What do you mean? Zhao Yueru piped in. Violet has already class changed from a Tier 0 cleric to the Tier 1 hidden class, Astromancer. Not only does she possess the inherent skills of a cleric, but she also possesses the skills of an Astromancer. Shifeng explained slowly. Meanwhile, she defeated Nimble Snake just now using the Tier 1 legacy skills of an Astromancer. As for the might of those skills, you've seen them for yourselves. Tier 1 class? You're saying that Violet has already obtained her Tier 1 class? Zhao Yueru's little mouth gaped, her eyes filled with disbelief as she looked at the girl smiling happily beside Shifeng. Tier 1 class? This was a completely unknown concept to God's Domain's current players. Though, as an expert, she knew that a Tier 1 class was stronger than a Tier 0 class. However, the class change quest was cumbersome. Not only would it be time-consuming, but the quest also quite difficult. As a result, she had chosen to focus on her level first. However, she never imagined that there would be such a huge gap between a Tier 0 and a Tier 1 class. So this is the gap between a Tier 0 player and a Tier 1 player? When Zhao Yueru thought back to how effortlessly Violet Cloud had defeated Nimble Snake, her heart was suddenly eager to challenge her class change quest. Meanwhile, after listening to Shifeng's explanation, Gentle Snow had also come to a realization. It was no wonder the two of them were only level 22. It turned out that they had taken the time to complete their class change quest. Zero Wing is indeed filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Gentle Snow inwardly sighed as she looked at Violet Cloud. It seems that Ouroboros needs to challenge the class change quests as well. A Tier 1 class was actually so powerful. If Zero Wing had a large number of Tier 1 players, could Zero Wing even find a dungeon they could not raid? With such strength, leveling up would also be much easier. In comparison, they had only been wasting their time and efforts by leveling up and raiding dungeons. At this time, the 5 matches of the competition had come to a close. Naturally, Gentle Snow was the overall winner. As for Chao Qinghua, the loser, at this moment, his eyes were bloodshot. He glared at Nimble Snake as thoughts of strangling the assassin filtered through his mind. Despite all of his calculations and machinations, he had never expected that the 2 outsiders Gentle Snow had invited would be so powerful. However, his thoughts were meaningless now because the main god system had already begun enforcing the conditions of the contract. Chao Qinghua's body began to slowly fade out of existence as the main god system expelled him from God's domain permanently. Just like that, the acting guild leader of Ouroboros, a relatively influential character in the virtual gaming world, could not log into God's domain ever again. Without Chao Qinghua supporting them, Blackheart Arrow and the recently resurrected Nimble Snake were at a loss. From now on, Gentle Snow would be the guild leader of Ouroboros. It would be a piece of cake for her to deal with him. Regret turned Nimble Snake's stomach. Originally, he thought his future would be set if he followed Chao Qinghua. Yet now, just as Nimble Snake and Blackheart Arrow began to panic, Warwolf, the outsider invited by Chao Chenghua, stood and walked up to Gentle Snow. "Miss Snow, we meet again," Warwolf greeted, a faint smile on his face. "Do you have any business with me?" Gentle Snow asked, somewhat surprised. In the past, Warwolf had felt only disdain towards guild players like her, refusing to even speak with her. Now, however, he had actually initiated a conversation. It was beyond unusual. Even Shifeng was curious as to what Warwolf had to say. "I only wish to congratulate Miss Snow for becoming the guild leader of Ouroboros." Warwolf spoke softly. "Thank you," Gentle Snow answered politely. In regards to the man named Warwolf, Gentle Snow could not see through him in the least. Moreover, the shield warrior gave her a sense of extreme danger, and she was quite uncomfortable. Following which, Warwolf shifted his gaze to Shifeng, saying, "I truly did not expect to meet a fellow martial arts practitioner here. Although I wish to exchange a few moves with you, unfortunately, I am only a Tier 0 class right now. I can only seek you out once I receive my Tier 1 promotion. However, before I leave, I have something I need to say to Brother Yifeng. It is best if you leave Zero Wing quickly and look for a better guild to develop yourself." "Brother Warwolf, what are you trying to say?" Shifeng did not think that Warwolf was someone who would speak nonsense. It could be dangerous for me to go into detail, but recently, Zero Wing has attracted too much attention in God's domain. Some people can no longer sit by and have begun to take action. Are you referring to Underworld? No. Even I get a headache just thinking about dealing with those people. If you can hide from them, then hide. In the off chance that Zero Wing provokes them, the consequences would be unimaginable." Warwolf simply smiled and shook his head before departing from the room. Watching Warwolf's departing figure, Shifeng grew confused. He could not figure out who else had targeted Zero Wing. Even an expert like Warwolf feared of them. Forget it. There is no point overthinking things. Let's just take things as they come. Since he could not figure it out, Shifeng no longer bothered thinking about it. Why worry about trouble that might not even come? After Warwolf's departure, Gentle Snow had immediately expelled Nimble Snake and Blackheart Arrow from Ouroboros. Although the two of them were experts, who knew what sort of schemes they would concoct in the future? It was especially true for a sly and treacherous bastard like Nimble Snake. Afterward, Gentle Snow gave both Shifeng and Violet Cloud 30 million credits each as remuneration for their help. Violet Cloud was stupefied upon seeing the numbers in her virtual bank account. This was her first time seeing such an astronomical sum of money. Shifeng, on the other hand, was rather pleased after receiving the money. With this, he would not have to worry about the guild's development funds for some time. As Gentle Snow had just become Ouroboros' guild leader, she still had a ton of things she needed to handle. Shifeng and Violet Cloud did not linger either, and they left the underground arena. Just as Shifeng and Violet Cloud were about to return to White River City, the sound of his communicator ringing suddenly reached his ears. "Brother Feng, I have bad news. Something big has happened," Blackie announced. Chapter 412 Great Lord. Chapter 412 Great Lord. "Relax, slow down," Shifeng said. Blackie wanted to calm down, but he couldn't contain his panic after surviving something so intense. "Brother Feng, listen to me. A meteorite shower rained down on the White River City region," Black said excitedly. Originally, everyone thought nothing of it. However, a system notification suddenly appeared in White River City, stating that the meteorite shower had destroyed the entire White Fog Canyon, a level 20 to level 30 grinding area. All the monsters within White Fog Canyon have gone berserk, and based on the information our guild uncovered, these monsters have a surprisingly high drop rates, and the EXP they give is also significant. On top of that, a ruined shrine has appeared inside the White Fog Canyon. We received information of powerful monsters guarding something inside the shrine. A few powerful assassins even snuck in to have a look. They discovered that there was actually a level 25 Great Lord ranked monster deep inside the ruined shrine. Currently, the various guilds are organizing their personnel and preparing to raid the level 25 Great Lord. A Great Lord was in existence that surpassed the High Lord. Such monsters did not even exist in level 50 large-scale Helm mode team dungeons. At most, the final boss of said dungeon might be a High Lord. Yet now, a Great Lord had actually appeared. Without a doubt, its appearance would draw guilds to it. The ironclad rule of God's domain was that the stronger a monster was, the better its drops would be. For Great Lord ranked monsters, at the very least, they would drop dark gold items. There might even be a chance for epic items to drop. Brother Feng, how many people do you think we should send? Blackie asked. You're saying a meteorite shower has destroyed the entire White Fog Canyon? Shifeng's eyes suddenly shone. Excellent. Blackie, notify Aqua and have her organize some personnel. We don't need for too many, around 500 people will do. However, they must all be strong. We'll meet up in White Fog Canyon later. The matter regarding White River City's meteorite shower incident in the past was still deeply engraved in Shifeng's mind. Because of this incident, players engaged each other in a long-standing war. Whether it was the independent players or the various guilds, if one set foot into White Fog Canyon, they would become entangled in this war. However, what player could resist the temptation of the items inside White Fog Canyon? In the past, even Shifeng died no less than a dozen times for that particular treasure. That's right, he died half a dozen times. That was equivalent to losing half a dozen levels. Yet Shifeng had still thrown himself into the fray. Everything he had done was for equipment and money. Okay. I'll contact Sister Aqua immediately. Blackie disconnected the call and did as he promised. Sure enough, history has changed significantly. The meteorite shower has happened so early. I must take full advantage of it this time. When Shifeng thought about how he could enter the White Fog Canyon so soon after the meteorite shower's appearance in this life, excitement filled his heart. Shifeng sorely lacked money right now. Currently, the Star Street trading firm granted him a daily income of over 1,000 gold. In addition, he received a dozen or so gold when guild members completed quests from the guild residents. Overall, it was a hefty income. However, the Star Street trading firm did not belong to Shifeng. Moreover, his quest still demanded 30,000 gold. Right now, he had not even accumulated half that amount of money. On another note, there was not much time left before the great demon's curse that afflicted Shifeng would take effect. If he failed to gather the 30,000 gold and obtain the Tier 4 position teleportation scroll, he could not locate the Bible of Darkness and remove the curse. If he failed, Shifeng would only have one end waiting for him: death. Originally, Shifeng had planned to exploit the market and increase his income through the strengthened armor kits Melancholic Smile and the others produced. Now, however, there was no need. His problems would be solved as long as he had the White Fog Canyon. Although the meteorite shower had caused the appearance of the ruined shrine and had driven the monsters in White Fog Canyon berserk, greatly increasing their drop rate and EXP, either aspect was really important. What mattered the most was the Starfire ore. After White Fog Canyon was destroyed, Starfire ore had been found all over the area. Starfire ore was incredibly rare, and it could only be found around the crash sites of meteorites. Starfire essence could be extracted from refined starfire ore and could increase the success rate of forging. The more starfire essence one used, the higher their success rate would be. Although starfire essence was ineffective when forging dark gold ranked items and above, it could still allow forgers to produce various secret silver and fine gold equipment. Hence, starfire essence was very valuable. In the past, a piece of starfire ore could sell for 1 silver coin, whereas a piece of starfire essence could sell for 4 silver coins. Even the independent players of White River City had hungered for starfire ore again. In this life, Shifeng would not let this opportunity pass him by. For the moment, everyone was still focused on the Great Lord of the ruined shrine. Nobody had discovered starfire ore or realized that it littered the demolished White Fog Canyon, let alone its value. Hence, this was the perfect chance for Shifeng. Half an hour later, Shifeng and Violet Cloud arrived in White Fog Canyon. The layer that previously hid the canyon had dissipated. Instead, craters and flames filled the area. A dilapidated shrine loomed in White Fog Canyon's center. Plenty of monsters also patrolled the surroundings of said shrine. After Shurfong arrived, he discovered that players crowded around the entrance to White Fog Canyon. There were tens of thousands of players. However, although all of the guilds of White River City had come, the majority consisted of independent players. Guild leader, from our investigations, we discovered that Overwhelming Smile has dispatched over 6,000 members to White Fog Canyon, Emperor's Light has sent over 2,000, Assassin's Alliance has sent over 2,000 players, and Ouroboros has also sent over 3,000 players. All of these players are elites who are level 21 and above. Yet we've only brought 500 members with us. Do we really have enough players? Aqua Rose asked worriedly. It's enough. Having too many people isn't necessarily a good thing. Moreover, our goal is different, Shurfong stated. Before his arrival, Shurfong had done his own calculations. White Fog Canyon was not particularly large. The crash sites were also limited in number. 500 people were just about right for the task he had in mind. Sending any more would just be a waste of manpower. Are we not going to the ruined shrine? Aqua Rose was greatly surprised. Had they not gathered the top combatants of the guild to raid the Great Lord inside the ruined shrine? It would not benefit Zero Wing if Overwhelming Smile managed to raid the Great Lord successfully first. Currently, their guild also had quite a number of Tier 1 players. Compared to Overwhelming Smile, they would have a much easier time raiding the Great Lord. Yet that wasn't their goal. How could a Great Lord be defeated that easily? We are here simply to level up. Even if we want to defeat a level 25 Great Lord, at the very least, everyone must be at 25 or above. Since they wish to raid it, just let them raid it. Shurfong laughed. What was a Great Lord? A Great Lord was a monster would only appear as the final boss of a 100-man Helm mode team dungeon. With only a group of Tier 0 players, what could they possibly hope to achieve? Even if they drowned the Great Lord with corpses, the price they would pay would be unimaginable. In the past, many guilds had attempted to raid the level 25 Great Lord inside the ruined shrine. However, after the death of several thousand players, they submitted and gave up the hope of defeating the monster. Moreover, the various guilds back then even had Tier 1 players in their midst. But what about now? The meteorite shower had appeared a lot earlier in this life. Currently, aside from Zero Wing, none of the guilds had even a single Tier 1 player. How were they supposed to defeat the Great Lord? Chapter 413 White Fog Canyon. Chapter 413 White Fog Canyon. As Shurfong marked locations on the system map, more players continued to arrive at White Fog Canyon. When Shurfong had arrived, he had changed his appearance to Black Flame. As a result, he received an extraordinary amount of attention. Wow! Isn't that guild leader Black Flame? He's so powerful! Just looking at him makes my heart pound. It would be great if I could become friends with him. Why don't you look in the mirror first? Guild leader Black Flame is the #1 expert in Star Moon Kingdom. Meeting him alone is a rare chance, much less becoming friends with him. Sure enough, One-Hit Azura is here as well. Things in the White Fog Canyon will be more interesting now. No duh. Overwhelming Smile's influence in White River City continues to grow. If Zero Wing fails to achieve anything in the competition over White Fog Canyon, it will become the laughingstock of White River City. However, Overwhelming Smile has dispatched an impressive army of players. Look, even Overwhelming Smile's branch leader, Lone Tyrant, has shown up. A huge war is going to break out over the canyon. I hurried here specifically to watch this war unfold. Upon seeing Shurfong, many players began to discuss Zero Wing and Overwhelming Smile. Currently, the atmosphere surrounding White River City grew increasingly tense with each passing day. Despite Overwhelming Smile's clear attempts to suppress Zero Wing, it had not acted directly. Thus far, it had only employed various plots to poach the members of Zero Wing. It was as if Overwhelming Smile was dead set on stealing every single member from Zero Wing. Meanwhile, Shifeng's guild showed no signs of taking action. The guild had only declared that all members who withdrew from Zero Wing were permanently barred from joining the guild again in the future. At the same time, Zero Wing also lowered their recruitment criteria. Both sides appeared strangely calm as they maintained a delicate balance. No one knew what these guilds were thinking. There was a faint feeling of a storm brewing behind the scenes. Now that these guilds had gathered in the White Fog Canyon, they were both on high alert for each other. When Lone Tyrant saw Shifeng, his eyes turned bloodshot as killing intent radiated from his body. He glared at Shifeng as if the man was his greatest enemy. Any expert could feel Lone Tyrant's killing intent. Naturally, Shifeng was no exception. Guild leader, it seems that Lone Tyrant's hatred for you is quite intense. Despite the fact that you've killed him several times, he refuses to learn his lesson. Aqua Rose giggled. He can only act this rampant because he has Overwhelming Smile backing him. Why don't we head over and kill him again? We can use this chance to massacre Overwhelming Smile and relieve some stress. Blackie snarled. Fire Dance stepped forward and said, I alone will be enough to kill him. Shifeng, who had busied himself with the system map all this time, simply smiled and said, Ignore him. We have more important matters to tend to. Fire Dance, you, especially, have much to do. Shifeng thought little of Lone Tyrant. The one Shifeng was truly worried about was the Overwhelming Smile branch based in Maple City and the several surrounding cities controlled by Underworld. At this moment, a graceful and quiet woman standing beside Lone Tyrant softly reminded him. Brother Tyrant, we have not come here to wage war with Zero Wing. Don't forget our goal. Listening to this woman's words, Lone Tyrant shot Shifeng a glare before turning to enter the White Fog Canyon. The graceful woman then looked at Shifeng and the others, sending them a faint smile before she followed after Lone Tyrant and led the army of over 6,000 players into the White Fog Canyon. I remember seeing that woman the last time I killed South Wolf. I think she was called Julan. For Lone Tyrant acts so subserviently, it seems that her status is quite high. Naturally, Shifeng noticed the woman who had smiled at them, uncertainty filling his gaze. Shifeng had only paid attention to Yulan because of his intuition. He could feel an indescribable sense of danger from the woman. Yet, after using omniscient eyes to inspect Yulan, Shifeng discovered that the woman was merely a level 24 Tier 0 summoner. There was nothing special about her at all. Shifeng began to doubt his intuition. After Overwhelming Smile entered the canyon, the other guilds promptly followed. Only Shifeng and the others lingered at the entrance. Guild leader, Overwhelming Smile, Emperor's Light, and Assassin's Alliance have already entered. Are we not going in yet? Aqua Rose asked as she watched guild after guild enter the White Fog Canyon. In a moment. I'll be done soon, Shifeng leisurely responded. White Fog Canyon was a level 20 to level 30 grinding area. Or rather, it had been originally. However, after the meteorite shower, the monsters inside had gone berserk and had become far more difficult to deal with. At the very least, the White Fog Canyon was no longer suitable for ordinary players around level 20. When in a berserk state, monsters' damage and attack speed would increase by a minimum of 30%. With this increase, a common monster would possess the combat power of an elite monster, and so on. However, this was only the beginning. As time passed, the monsters within White Fog Canyon would also grow stronger and more numerous. Soon, even the weakest monsters inside the canyon would become elites, while a majority of the monsters would be special elites. There would also be quite a number of chieftains and lords. Moreover, all these monsters would have also entered a berserk state. Just thinking about this gave one goosebumps. Based on how long it had been since the meteorite shower, Shifeng could say with certainty that there were no longer any common monsters inside White Fog Canyon. At the very minimum, the monsters inside the canyon would be elites. Moreover, the monsters would move in groups and respawn very quickly. There would also be many danger spots inside the canyon. Meanwhile, the core area of the White Fog Canyon spoke for itself. The results of rushing in unprepared were obvious. Currently, the baseline for entering White Fog Canyon was level 20 Tier 1 or around level 30 Tier 0. Although players could improve their chances by going in with larger numbers, this canyon was still significantly dangerous. Therefore, Showdown had sketched out a new map of the White Fog Canyon based on his memories of the past. On the new map, he had made sure to indicate locations that they needed to avoid. He had also marked a few mining spots and danger spots. Although it was a time-consuming task, this new map would undeniably reduce the losses his guild members suffered. The minutes crawled by. While Showdown was busy trying to recall the White Fog Canyon, over a dozen minutes had passed since the crowd of independent players and guilds had entered White Fog Canyon. Suddenly, the members of Zero Wing, who had waited silently at the canyon's entrance, noticed many players exiting the canyon. These players looked pitiful. They left in parties of 2s and 3s. Not a single complete party passed the watching Zero Wing players. Unable to contain his curiosity, Blackie walked over and asked, "What happened to you guys? It's only been around 10 minutes since you went in. How did you guys end up in such sorry states so quickly?" These players had relatively powerful equipment. They were fully geared in bronze equipment, at the very minimum. Logically, a party of such caliber should not have any issues dealing with a level 22 or 23 special elite. Yet, all of these parties had lost at least half of their members. "What do you know? The monsters inside White Fog Canyon are all berserk elites. Even our level 21 shield warrior could only take a dozen hits at most. Facing one was hard enough. Yet, for some reason, the monsters in there move in groups of 3 at least. They also have a massive aggro range, so they are easy to pull. Many had party wiped, and we only managed to escape after much difficulty. We've decided to level elsewhere until we hit level 25 at least." A level 21 veteran player replied, sighing. At this moment, his heart still trembled when he thought back to those groups of elite monsters. Chapter 414 Beast War. Chapter 414 Beast War. Every Zero Wing member laughed when they heard these independent players. In the end, independent players only amounted to so much. Even with a party of 6, 2 or 3 elites had been too much for them. They were truly weak. Guild leaders being too cautious. How could an independent party's strength compare to ours? Now that Overwhelming Smile has taken the lead, won't those bastards claim the Great Lord kill? It shouldn't be possible. It's a Great Lord. Overwhelming Smile has dispatched over 6,000 members for this, and all of them are elites. Killing a Great Lord should be child's play to them. Indeed. Even though a Great Lord is very powerful, with 6,000 players, they could simply exhaust it to death. I really don't understand what the guild leader is thinking. Everyone has already arrived, yet we're just standing here. By the time we enter, who knows how many elite monsters the other guilds will have killed already. Why are we here anyway? While the members of Zero Wing grumbled about Showdown's approach, a team of several hundred players left the White Fog Canyon. These players' equipment looked uniform, and they all wore the same guild emblem on their chests. They were clearly a guild team. What's up with these people? The crowd from Zero Wing grew curious as they watched the members of this guild team, disgrace haunting these players' expressions. Following which, another large wave of players came out of White Fog Canyon, these players also belonging to a guild. However, the second guild team had far more members than the first. Moreover, instead of slowly walking out of the canyon, these players ran in a panic. This scene thoroughly confused the Zero Wing members waiting by the canyon's entrance. Had these people gone insane? Wait! There's something behind them, one of Zero Wing's level 22 rangers with the eagle eyes skill said. Everyone from Zero Wing then shifted their gazes and were immediately dumbfounded by what they saw. Previously, they had not been able to get a clear view due to being too far away. Now that it had come to them, they could finally see it. Behind the frantically running players, thousands of crimson-eyed battle monkeys stormed after them. These bloodthirsty monkeys released frenzied roars as they charged at the escaping players like a tsunami, devouring everything in their path. Crimson-eyed battle monkeys, elite rank. Level 22. HP 16, 000/16, 000. Although these crimson-eyed battle monkeys did not have a lot of HP, compared to players, their bodies were half a size larger. Not only were they nimble and powerful, but they also possessed naturally long arms. In addition, they wielded weapons and were also capable of using these weapons as proficient as players. Defeating these monsters would not be easy. Meanwhile, among these thousands of crimson-eyed battle monkeys, there were also a few larger armored battle monkeys squeezed in. These armored battle monkeys were covered in scars, a testament to the many battles they had fought. Compared to the elite-ranked crimson-eyed battle monkeys, the armored battle monkeys were much stronger. It was not just because of their ranks as special elites, but more so because of their combat techniques, which were far superior than ordinary players. Armored battle monkeys, special elite. Level 24. HP 54,000/54000. Moreover, whenever the tide of battle monkeys caught up to some of the escaping players, they would only tackle and hack said players to death in groups of 3 to 5. Not every battle monkey would stop to attack. Although frenzied, these battle monkeys fought with intelligence and organization. More players continued to die. "Save me! Save me, please! I don't want to die!" Many players screamed as the battle monkeys caught up to them. As for resisting, most of them had forgotten how to do that. The players of God's domain had never experienced such horrific slaughter before, and their legs had long since gone limp with fear. At this moment, only those who possessed a strong heart managed to keep running, whereas the weaker-willed players had died under the monster tsunami. Although some of the escaping players were also attacking as they ran, there were simply too many battle monkeys. Retaliation was no different than pouring a cup of water into a raging inferno. After a short moment, over 100 players had died. In the end, the players who escaped the White Fog Canyon numbered less than 500. These players had even implicated the guild team that had escaped before them, causing the latter to suffer another loss of over 100 players. After watching the massacre, the idle members of Zero Wing were stupefied. These battle monkeys were terrifying. Are these really monsters? This question lingered in everyone's hearts. The battle monkeys had behaved completely different from the monsters they had seen and fought before. Fighting these monsters was no longer grinding. Rather, it looked more like a full-blown war. At this moment, the Zero Wing members who had previously complained about Shifeng's decision fell silent. Now, they only admired Shifeng's forethought. If they had not witnessed this scene and had foolishly charged into White Fog Canyon, it was highly possible that they would have suffered a similar fate to those players. As for the other guild members, they looked at Shifeng with even greater reverence now. While the crowd from Zero Wing continued to linger around the entrance, one guild team after another fled the canyon. As for the independent parties, very few had managed to escape as practically all of them had died inside the canyon. Instead of calling the White Fog Canyon a precious grinding spot, it was more like a gigantic meat grinder. "All right, let's join the party," Shifeng said after he finished organizing his map. He then said in the team chat, "You've seen for yourselves the various guild teams that have escaped. Most of those guild teams have more members than we do. However, as you can see, only half of them made it out alive. You can imagine for yourselves just how dangerous White Fog Canyon is, so I hope that everyone will obey the commands given to you. Do not take any arbitrary actions. If anyone violates their orders, I will deal with you personally." The crowd involuntarily trembled upon hearing Shifeng's words, tensing unconsciously. "Since no one has any issues, stand by the groups and formations previously arranged." Shifeng nodded and said, "Let's head in then." After the meteorite shower, White Fog Canyon had ceased to be a grinding area. It was more like a super large-scale dungeon. Obtaining the Starfire ore would not be an easy task. Instead of grinding monsters, they were about to wage war inside the canyon. Danger lurked around every corner of the map. Inside the canyon, they did not need to look for the battle monkeys, as the battle monkeys had long since been ready to ambush them. Hence, they needed to stay vigilant inside the canyon. The formation Shifeng had organized scattered the MTs around the team, whereas healers and ranged classes were safer in the center of the group. As for the assassins, they were sent to scout ahead, reporting back any activities they discovered so as to avoid an ambush. Under Shifeng's lead, the Zero-Wing team quickly arrived at the inner region of the White Fog Canyon. During this period, everyone had experienced several battles, and the battle monkeys they killed numbered over 1,000. Everyone's experience bars rose significantly as a result. They had also obtained plenty of level 20 and above bronze equipment and materials. Most importantly, the team had suffered 0 casualties throughout the journey. This situation caused everyone's reverence towards Shifeng to soar once more. Previously, everyone had simply thought of Shifeng as someone with impressive strength. They had never expected him to be a superior leader as well. Suddenly, Fire Dance, who was in stealth in a nearby tree, reported in the team chat. Guild leader, a group of nearly 300 battle monkeys currently approaches from the left side of the team. Contact in roughly 30 seconds. Guild leader, a group of close to 400 crimson-eyed battle monkeys approaches from the rear. There are also a dozen or so armored battle monkeys with them. They will reach the team's current location in roughly 1 minute. Flying Shadow, one of the 5 demon generals, reported. Everyone's hearts trembled upon receiving these 2 reports. The previous ambushes they had encountered had only come from a single direction. Now, these battle monkeys were initiating a pincer attack. Moreover, their numbers were far greater than before. The previous ambushes had only consisted of 100 or so battle monkeys. Now, they had to face a total of nearly 700. They were outnumbered. Chapter 415 Sword Practice. Chapter 415 Sword Practice. Sure enough, what will come has come. Shifeng silently examined the system map of the White Fog Canyon. He was not the slightest bit surprised by the battle monkey's pincer attack, smiling brightly. The White Fog Canyon was like a dungeon. There was a proper strategy to raid it. Shifeng had been able to lead his party around the canyon freely with what knowledge he had in his previous life. With the experience he had accumulated, leading his current party would be a breeze. Compared to the past, the current White Fog Canyon was practically child's play. Back then, not only had Shifeng's party been required to deal with the battle monkeys, but they also had to deal with the sneak attacks and plundering of other players. This was especially the case when they faced the high-handed interception of the major guilds. These opponents were far more difficult to deal with than the battle monkeys. Currently, other than Shifeng, nobody else in White River City knew that the Starfire Ore was the most valuable item in White Fog Canyon. Hence, this was the perfect chance for Shifeng to make a fortune. Nobody would bother mining the Starfire Ore, so his chances of encounter competition were nil. All of the Starfire Ore throughout the White Fog Canyon was free for Shifeng's taking. If this were in the past, he would only have encountered such an opportunity in his dreams. Everyone, run towards the narrow gorge ahead, Shifeng commanded through the team chat. Kola, your MT group will be responsible for blocking the entrance of the gorge. The other MTs, get ready to replace them at any given moment. Shifeng had already considered every situation they could possibly encounter on their way here. Shifeng also knew the topography of the White Fog Canyon like the back of his hand. A moment later, Zero Wing's team of 500 entered the gorge. Meanwhile, the Guardian Knight Kola, along with 14 other MTs, walled off the entrance into White Fog Canyon's inner region. Anyone or anything that wanted through would have to break through these 15 MTs first. At first, the Zero Wing members still worried about the army of battle monkeys. However, after seeing Shifeng maneuver his troops, they sighed with relief. They had never expected that this canyon would contain such strategic terrain. In such a narrow area, the battle monkeys could not take advantage of their numbers. Moreover, with this setup, they did not have to worry about a pincer attack. They only needed to focus on a single location. Shortly after everyone prepared their defenses, the first wave of close to 300 crimson-eyed battle monkeys slammed into their MT wall. Like the cavalry charge on ancient battlefields, the enemy stampede shook even the land. The sound of the monkeys' bloodthirsty roars that echoed throughout the gorge sent tremors through everyone's hearts. Despite having already experienced over a dozen battles, Zero Wing's elites still panicked. Compared to the previous battles, this was on an entirely different level. The crimson-eyed battle monkeys appeared to be more organized than the foes they had faced before. These battle monkeys also seemed much fiercer, resembling the battle monkeys they had seen back at the entrance of the White Fog Canyon. Guild leader, these crimson-eyed battle monkeys look strange. I feel that not only have they become more organized, but they are also stronger than before. Aqua Rose frowned slightly. Inwardly, she worried that Cola and the others might not be able to hold off this wave of monsters. Of course. The crimson-eyed battle monkeys we fought before were merely washouts. Meanwhile, the ones we are about to face right now are the victors, so, naturally, they are much stronger. Shifeng explained as he nodded. Moreover, these crimson-eyed battle monkeys have a war chief at their backs. Look over there. As he said so, Shifeng pointed towards a large tree outside of the gorge. Standing in the large tree was a slightly smaller battle monkey covered in fine black leather armor. Battle Monkey War Chief, Chieftain rank. Level 25. HP 140, 000/140, 000. The Battle Monkey War Chief possessed the War Chief's aura, increasing the attributes of the surrounding crimson-eyed battle monkeys by 10%. An ordinary MT simply could not withstand the attacks from these elite-ranked crimson-eyed battle monkeys. It was simply impossible for a Tier 0 metric tons around level 21 to survive. Hence, the various guilds had been massacred upon meeting such monster armies. Watching the crimson-eyed battle monkeys charge towards them, Shifeng hurriedly said, "All clerics, cast sacred shields on the MTs. Oracles, use prayer barrier. Cola, activate Guardian Aura." Immediately, the Guardian Knights and Shield Warriors on the front line each received a sacred shield from the clerics, the shield being capable of absorbing a large amount of damage. In addition, there were also prayer barriers cast in front of them. These barriers could similarly absorb a certain amount of damage from the front. Finally, Cola's Guardian Aura increased everyone's defense. Faced with the physical attacks of the crimson-eyed battle monkeys, the Guardian Aura would be particularly beneficial. Zero Wings members' levels were, on average, higher than those in other guilds. For this operation, the Guardian Knights and Shield Warriors dispatched were all level 22 and above, and each one had at least 4,300 HP. Among them, Cola, who was a level 23 Tier 1 Guardian Knight, possessed over 5,300 HP. There was also Yuwen, a level 22 Tier 1 Shield Warrior with over 4,900 HP. Just as the wave of battle monkeys arrived before Cola and the others, Cola suddenly shouted, "Aegis protection!" In the blink of an eye, a faint golden glow covered every MT. Aegis protection. Tier 1. Reduces damage taken for all allies within a 30-yard radius by 30% for 12 seconds. Cooldown, 1 minute 30 seconds. Simultaneously, everyone readied their shields to defend against the crimson-eyed battle monkeys' attacks. Bang! 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 The instant both sides collided, the prayer barrier shattered. Only the sacred shields still barely supported the MTs. However, the crimson-eyed battle monkeys' charge was overwhelming. Cola and the others were forced to retreat several steps before they could stabilize themselves. In the next moment, the crimson-eyed battle monkeys, which had stopped their charge, brandished their swords and sabers at the MTs. Their attack speeds were incredible, preventing the players from catching their breaths. Some of the MTs had been too late in defending against the oncoming attacks, their sacred shields shattering and receiving -200 damage. Without the protection of the sacred shields, the MTs received around -800 damage every time the crimson-eyed battle monkeys struck them, and this was after the 30% damage reduction of Aegis protection. Only Cola and Yuwen received damage below -500 points. If the MTs did not block the majority of the attacks with their shields, the healers would struggle to keep up with the incoming damage. "I'll leave this to you all. Fire Dance and Flying Shadow, you two cover my 6 while I deal with that war chief." After issuing the command, Shifeng activated the aura of Wind of the 7 Luminaries ring. He then activated Wind Rider and flew towards the Battle Monkey War Chief. When one met a Battle Monkey army in the White Fog Canyon, they first needed to exterminate the Battle Monkey War Chief. Not only could the War Chief increase his subordinates' attributes, and raise their attack efficiency, but it could also call for infinite reinforcements. Hence, players needed to kill the war chief as soon as possible. Players would simply be asking for trouble if they dragged the fight on for too long without killing the war chief. However, taking it out would not be easy. This did not mean that the Battle Monkey war chief was overly powerful. Rather, compared to the other battle monkeys, the war chief was far more sensitive to danger. When its own life was at risk, it would flee. Moreover, the war chief was also more agile than the other battle monkeys, as could be seen from its thin and lean body. Hence, players would find it difficult to kill. When the battle monkey war chief saw Shifeng flying towards it, it immediately fled in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, although the battle monkey war chief was quick on its feet, it was far slower than Shifeng when he had Wind Rider active. "Let's use you as practice for my newly learned void steps." Shifeng smiled faintly. Unsheathing the abyssal blade in Purgatory's shadow, he shot forward, hurtling towards the battle monkey war chief. Chapter 416 Dance of Blades. Chapter 416 Dance of Blades. While Shifeng hunted the battle monkey war chief, the ranged classes of Zero Wing within the gorge began to take action. Cola and the other MTs had successfully held off the first charge. The healers in the back had also stabilized the 15 MTs' HP. The only thing left to do was to clean up the assaulting battle monkeys. Standing in the rear, Blackie had begun to chant an incantation, waving his staff. After becoming a Tier 1 Cursemancer, Blackie's damage had increased significantly. At the same time, he had also learned a new Tier 1 skill, Magic Synergy. Magic Synergy. Tier 1. Increases the efficiency of the caster's spells, improving spell effects by 30% and reducing cast time by 30% for 15 seconds. The density of elemental mana surrounding Blackie skyrocketed. Blackie then cast Stars of Light. Due to Magic Synergy's enhancement, both the effective range and power of Stars of Light had increased by 30%. In the next moment, a dazzling ball of light descended from the sky. Noticing this, the crimson-eyed battle monkeys responded quickly and tried to evade the incoming attack. However, while inside the gorge, other than advancing, their only escape was to retreat backward. Natural rock walls surrounded the battle monkeys on both sides, and it was impossible for them to scale these walls. With Cola and the other MTs of Zero Wing creating a shield wall ahead, and their companions blocking their rear, these battle monkeys could only watch helplessly as the Stars of Light descended. They also had no way to block this incoming bombardment. AoE destruction spells attacked from all angles. Unless one had magic immunity, invincibility, or countered with an AoE destruction spell of their own, there was no other way to defend against the attack. Boom! The instant the Stars of Light descended, a damage of over -5,000 points appeared above the heads of every battle monkey the spell struck. As for the monsters further away from the site of impact, they, too, received damages of over -3,000 points. Despite having increased attributes due to the Warchief's aura, these crimson-eyed battle monkeys still lost close to a third of their HP. However, this was only the beginning. Stars of Light had a duration of 15 seconds, and with each passing second, the spell's damage would scale up to by 10%. After only 5 seconds, all of the battle monkeys within range had turned to ash, leaving behind a plethora of loot. A large section of the gorge was suddenly empty. Making a rough estimate, over 100 crimson-eyed battle monkeys had died. AoE destruction spells are awesome, though it would be great if their cooldown times were shorter. Although Cola had seen Blackie cast the spell many times, his heart still trembled with excitement whenever he witnessed this overwhelming destruction. The scattered loot on the ground and his soaring EXP bar also exhilarated him. The EXP from level 22 elites was originally quite significant. Meanwhile, after the meteorite shower, the EXP from the monsters inside the White Fog Canyon had increased by 3 to 4 times. In other words, killing a single monster here was the equivalent of killing 3 or 4 monsters of the same level and rank outside of White Fog Canyon. After Blackie's Stars of Light ended, Yuwamian rose from level 22 to level 23, his HP breaking past the 5,000 threshold. Everyone else also watched their experience bars increase by a huge chunk. Originally, it would have taken them several hours to gain so much EXP. Now, however, they had only taken around a dozen seconds or so. Stars of Light truly shone when used in a war. Not only was it massively destructive, but it could also shock enemies. Take the crimson-eyed battle monkeys caught outside the range of Stars of Light, for example. Despite having received no damage, they did not barrel forward after Stars of Light ended. They stood there with stunned expressions. Their previous fierce momentum had completely vanished. Unfortunately, AoE destruction spells like Blackie's Stars of Light were rare. Moreover, these spells possessed long cooldowns, needing a full half an hour. In a battle, such spells could be used once at most. Stop daydreaming! All ranged classes, attack those dazed battle monkeys! Aqua Rose commanded. Suddenly, spells and arrows bombarded the dazed monsters. Momentarily, the crimson-eyed battle monkeys were at a loss of what to do. They had even forgotten to dodge or use their weapons to fend off the incoming attacks. In the blink of an eye, over a dozen more battle monkeys died. However, one would be sorely mistaken if they thought they could get rid of these crimson-eyed battle monkeys so easily. As soon as these monsters regained themselves, they charged at Cola and the other MTs with even greater madness. Suddenly, the second battle of attrition had begun. Although the battle was vicious, compared to Shifeng's battle, it paled in comparison. Shifeng's current opponent was the Battle Monkey War Chief, a level 25 chieftain that had gone berserk. Inside a dungeon, the War Chief was definitely worthy of the role of a boss. Only its HP was slightly lower than a typical dungeon boss. Shifeng moved in front of the Battle Monkey War Chief with a flash, blocking its path. He then activated Chop and sent 3 silvery-gray blades of light slashing at the Warchief's thin frame, completely sealing off its exit. She! The Monkey War Chief suddenly squinted its blood-red eyes as it screeched, releasing an intimidating power. It then took a step back, its right fist punching towards the convergence point of the 3 blades of light. Pun! The 3 blades of light shattered. The Monkey War Chief then took a step forward and swung its left fist, flames covering the fist as it flew towards Shifeng's head. The whole process had happened in the blink of an eye, and the Battle Monkey War Chief had launched its attack was a lot more accurately and faster than many expert players. However, the instant the Monkey War Chief's fist struck Shifeng's head, it felt as if it had struck air. Taking a closer look, the Monkey War Chief discovered that had only hit Shifeng's afterimage. Meanwhile, Shifeng had used silent steps and arrived behind the Battle Monkey War Chief. He then used Thunder Flame Explosion. The Tier 1 Thunder Flame Explosion possessed a brief area suppression effect when cast, slowing all enemies' movements within a 10 by 10 yard area. Moreover, Shifeng was now a Tier 1 player. Despite being only level 22, the effect of the attack-type skills he used would not have weakened in the slightest even against the level 25 Battle Monkey War Chief. Furthermore, Shifeng also possessed the Golden Stigmata, which allowed him to ignore up to 20 levels of suppression. Suddenly, the Battle Monkey War Chief's speed had fallen, having only 1/6 of its original speed. It was no longer capable of blocking or dodging incoming attacks in time. Boom! The power of lightning and fire assaulted the Monkey War Chief. However, it had a surprisingly high defense for such a thin frame. Despite being a Tier 1 Blade Saint, Shifeng only managed to deal over -3,600 damage to the Monkey War Chief. Fortunately, Thunder Flame Explosion forced the Monkey War Chief into a fainted state for 6 seconds. Originally, Shifeng had intended to follow up his victory with Hot Pursuit, taking the opportunity to damage the Monkey War Chief heavily while it was incapacitated for 6 seconds. In the end, however, the Battle Monkey War Chief activated Berserker Rage, becoming immune to all control effects and increasing its strength and speed. It then unsheathed the war saber hanging on its back and brandished it at its adversary. Suddenly, 9 blades of light wrapped around Shifeng. This was one of the Battle Monkey War Chief's skills, Dance of Blades. If struck, even an MT like Cola would die without question. However, Cola possessed a large shield that he could use to defend himself. he would have no problems blocking the majority of the blades of light. Shifeng, however, did not possess a shield. He only had his two swords. Good timing! At this moment, Shifeng could feel impending doom approaching. Yet, he neither defended with his swords, nor did he activate defensive blade to save his life. Instead, he activated purgatory power and charged at the monkey warchief's dance of blades. Void steps. Previously, Shifeng would have never thought of confronting a berserk level 25 battle monkey warchief head-on. After all, the monkey warchief was terrifying after going berserk. Not only did its speed surpass Tier 1 players, but Tier 1 players also could not block its incredible attacks. After his match with Soaring Snake, Shifeng had finally succeeded in learning the advanced footwork void steps. However, he had not found a chance to test his footwork again since that match. Meanwhile, the agile battle monkey warchief was the perfect opponent for Shifeng to practice void steps on. The usefulness of void steps wasn't limited to PvP. It was also effective against monsters. After the battle monkey warchief swung its saber, it suddenly discovered that Shifeng had disappeared. By the time the monkey warchief discovered his opponent again, the latter had already appeared beside it, casually walking past. Meanwhile, several bloody gashes appeared on its body. Chapter 417 Blade Liberation. Chapter 417 Blade Liberation. In a withered forest located at the outer area of White Fog Canyon, Fire Dance and Flying Shadow, who had been standing watch around the team all this time, were currently dashing towards the gorge. Sister Fire Dance, guild leader is too amazing! He can actually fight the battle monkey war chief, a berserk level 25 chieftain, all by himself. With eyes filled with anticipation, Flying Shadow added, I hope that monkey war chief can last until we get there. Flying Shadow, you're still in a mood to joke around? Although guild leader is amazing, a chieftain that has gone berserk is no laughing matter. In a moment, we'll need to be careful when we go in and support guild leader. We will lose our lives if we're hit by the monkey war chief. Fire Dance reminded him. Fire Dance felt that it was too risky for Shifeng to fight a berserk level 25 chieftain all by himself. Such a battle did not permit even the slightest mistake. After Fire Dance succeeded in her class change quest and became a Tier 1 assassin, she had wanted to test her own standards. Hence, she had sent the members of the guild out looking for monsters for her to test herself against. At the very beginning, she had required little effort to defeat a level 15 special elite. She then challenged herself with a level 16 chieftain. However, 20 seconds into the battle, she was already in a miserable state. In the end, she had to use Vanish and flee. Hence, Fire Dance knew clearly just how powerful a chieftain-ranked monster was, let alone a level 25 chieftain that was constantly in a berserk state. Sister Fire Dance, I can hear sounds of battle coming from the front. They should be fighting over there, Flying Shadow said excitedly. Many people wished they could watch the battles of the one-hit Azura. Some players were even offering to purchase unpublished battle videos of the one-hit Azura at high prices, hoping to learn a thing or two from watching these videos. Flying Shadow himself had also watched Shifeng's battle videos over 100 times and received great benefits from doing so. However, at the end of the day, a video was still a video. It simply could not compare to seeing a battle live. However, Shifeng's battles were simply too fast-paced. Even though Flying Shadow could witness them, there was a limit to how much his mind could absorb. Hence, Flying Shadow also wanted a recording of the battle to study it in detail after returning. To this end, Flying Shadow had specially asked Fire Dance to activate holographic simulation mode to record Shifeng's battle. Before Flying Shadow had experienced a virtual gaming cabin, he had only been dismissive of the machine. Wasn't it just a 97% sync rate? The virtual gaming helmet also possessed a 90% sync rate. How huge of a difference could there be? The makers of the virtual gaming cabin were simply trying to swindle people's money. However, after Flying Shadow tried the cabin for himself, he instantly fell in love with it. Not only could the virtual gaming cabin allow him to display more of his actual combat power, but it was also of great help in regard to learning how to fight in God's domain. The holographic videos in particular were far superior to flat-screen videos. Unfortunately, there were only 5 virtual gaming cabins in Zero Wing's workshop, 3 of which were dedicated to the guild leader, Fire Dance, and Blackie. The remaining 2 had to be shared with other core members in rotation. Currently, Flying Shadow was not using the virtual gaming cabin, so he could not utilize the holographic recording. He could only request one from Fire Dance. That way, he could properly watch the video the next time it was his turn to use a virtual gaming cabin. In regard to Flying Shadow's request, Fire Dance was not opposed to it. She, too, wished to learn from Shifeng's battle. Then, she simply needed to give Flying Shadow a copy. When the 2 arrived at the scene of the battle, they suddenly saw Shifeng disappear, before shortly reappearing beside the Battle Monkey War Chief and slowly walking by it. Meanwhile, a few additional gashes manifested on the Monkey War Chief's body, fresh blood spurting out all over the place. "What's going on?" The sight suddenly set off an endless ripple in Fire Dance's and Flying Shadow's hearts. Each of Shifeng's strikes only managed to deal around -900 damage. The 3 slashes amounted to just slightly over -2,700 damage. To the Battle Monkey War Chief, which had 140,000 HP, they were merely scratches. However, the Monkey War Chief appeared even more furious after it was struck. Suddenly, the Battle Monkey War Chief sent a barrage of attacks raining down on Shifeng. The Monkey War Chief started using Dance of Blades with greater frequency, sealing Shifeng's path of retreat every time it did so. However, Shifeng also dashed directly at the Dance of Blades every time, disappearing before reappearing. Shifeng was like the moon's reflection in the water. Although the Monkey War Chief could see him, it always failed to hit Shifeng's physical body. Meanwhile, the Monkey War Chief's HP also continuously decreased. For a moment, Shifeng had completely suppressed the Battle Monkey War Chief. "Has the guild leader learned a new technique?" Flying Shadow muttered with uncertainty. Though he wanted to call it a skill, that would be incorrect. Normally, powerful skills possessed very long cooldowns. How could a skill that allowed one to disappear and reappear shortly after be frequently usable? It shouldn't be a skill. Fire Dance had been paying rapt attention to Shifeng's battle, and with surprise filling her eyes, she said, "If it were a skill similar to instantaneous movement, then the moment he disappears, he should simultaneously reappear at another location. However, after guild leader disappears, it takes a short moment for him to reappear in our sight. Moreover, there is always an awkward pause whenever we activate a skill. Yet there is no pause when guild leader uses that move." Fire Dance's observations were indeed on point. However, they only gave Flying Shadow an even greater shock. Players can actually carry out such powerful moves without using a skill? This revelation completely shattered Flying Shadow's understanding of virtual reality games. Guild leader seems greatly exhausted. It seems that this move places an enormous burden on one's mental strength. Fire Dance's observations were quite thorough, and very quickly, she noticed that Shifeng's complexion seemed somewhat pale. His eyes seemed slightly dimmer as well. Prepared to take action. In fact, it was exactly as Fire Dance had said. Void Steps was advanced footwork, a technique that removed one's own presence from the other person's brain. In other words, despite others clearly being able to see and sense Shifeng's presence, their brains would actively shunt this information to the subconscious mind and focus on other less relevant information, which would result in failing to see or sense Shifeng. However, such advanced footwork posed extremely high demands on its user, whether in terms of movement, breathing, and so on. Although Shifeng had already succeeded in executing void steps, and his proficiency improved with each subsequent use, the technique still placed a significant burden on his mental strength. Flying Shadow silently nodded. At this moment, he had already focused all his concentration on Shifeng, hero worship filling his eyes. Even though such a powerful move greatly exhausted one's mental strength, it was still very impressive. When the Battle Monkey War Chief had only half its HP remaining, Shifeng was already beyond exhaustion. I guess using void steps to deal with a berserk chieftain is really pushing things too far. Shifeng smiled bitterly in his heart as he looked at the battle monkey war chief that grew increasingly fearless the more it fought. If he were up against a player, he could definitely finish them off after using void steps twice. The battle would not drag on for such a long time. However, this battle against the monkey war chief was greatly beneficial to Shifeng, as he honed his mastery of void steps with each subsequent use of the footwork. Meanwhile, when the battle monkey war chief noticed that its opponent looked no different from a tired dog, it squinted its eyes as it revealed a cold smile. It then brandished its saber, using Dance of Blades once more. At this moment, Shifeng was quickly reaching his limit. If he used void steps one more time, it was highly possible that he would faint on the spot. Faced with the 9 saber images that completely sealed his movements, Shifeng suddenly erupted with power. Blade Liberation. This was the Tier 1 Super Berserk skill Shifeng had spent 20 legacy skill points to learn. The skill's duration was only 20 seconds, and after that period, he would enter a weakened state, with all his attributes decreased by 80% for 3 minutes. If he could not finish off his enemy in 20 seconds, then only death awaited him. Meanwhile, the weapon Shifeng used Blade Liberation on was the level 20 Dark Gold ranked Purgatory's Shadow. Suddenly, the power of the Purgatory's Shadow flowed into Shifeng. His body started glowing a faint red. Shifeng then tightened his grip around the abyssal blade and slashed at the incoming blades of light. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.